You are in the zone. You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You know, last week we went around and asked what we wanted to see in the game, preseason game number 1, and I found out this week that we didn't ask Beards what he wanted to see.
Was he upset about that?
Nor did I even know he had an answer until a couple of days ago. We were having a conversation, and Beards was like, well, this is something I had on what I wanted to see last Friday, which you didn't ask me about, but that's okay. No, not a big deal. But had you asked me about it, this is one of the things I would have wanted to see in the game, and we can talk about it now 5 days later. So we will go. Beard, should we start with you?
I actually don't have anything this week.
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I read a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco and Beards. We head up until 2 o'clock the next 4 hours. We've got you. Talking some football. Some dogs as well. Not necessarily betting. Favorites and dogs.
Hey.
That's right.
I like that.
Cynthia Frelund will be our guest coming up at 11 o'clock, and she is from NFL Network Analytics Expert. Clutch Gene, what is it, Analytics Expert? I don't know what it is. How do you go and quantify it? Is it the definition of porn? You know it when you see it? I'm not sure. But we'll get into that conversation with Cynthia because Patrick Mahomes had a lot on his shoulders on Sunday night. We talked about that with Adam Teicher. We discussed it on Monday. A lot of people have been writing about all of that stuff. He didn't particularly play a crisp, clean game until they had to have it. Now, he was let down a couple of times. 2nd down and 10, Juju Smith-Schuster drops a football that was a fumble, a drop pass, all of that. Brings up 3rd and 10. He hits Travis Kelce for a long gain. That ends up being a penalty called back. They end up punting. If Juju simply catches the football and it's 3rd down and 2, I don't know. Maybe they lose 4 yards and punt. There was a 3rd and 1 when he got sacked and they had to punt, so you never know what happens. But he was let down a couple of times. 3rd and 16, he completes a pass right between the 1 and the 7 of McCole Hardman, and the ball bounces off the 1 and the 7 about 10 yards back towards the line of scrimmage, and it's an incomplete pass. So he completes both of those. Maybe we're talking about a different story and Mahomes playing better than maybe the numbers showed. But, man, when he had to have it, he did it. We've seen that a number of times. We haven't seen it every time. It is not to where it is infallible. It is not, well, this is the drive, and if you don't score here, you lose, and he's going to go and score. He hasn't done it every single time in his career, but it certainly feels like more times than not and a higher percentage that he finds a way to come through in different ways, and maybe that's part of it is just not completing a screen pass that goes for 45 yards, and that's the first down. It's like, hey, he's 1 for 1 for 45 yards to start that drive. Right. No, it's 3rd and 17, he runs for 20 yards. 3rd and 9, and he runs for, 10 or 11 yards? Because it wasn't 3rd and goal, right? It was 3rd and 9 from whatever yard line it was. But, he ends up scoring a touchdown on that. And the 3rd and 2-point conversion. Those were thirds. 3rd and 17, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 2-point conversion. The 3rd try. And he runs that one in as well and finds a way to simply just get it done. Falling down, throwing to Travis Kelce. Kelce made a phenomenal catch. A 3rd and 1 in which Patrick Mahomes proved, at least, look, there are a lot of things where you look and say, Patrick Mahomes is different on this play than what another quarterback would do. If Chad Henne were in this play, 3rd and 17 would not have been converted. Now, I don't know. Maybe he throws the ball or something and it's converted. I don't know. Probably
Wouldn't have
not.
Been converted the same way. I think
Probably
it's safe
not.
to imagine.
That's the special part of Mahomes.
Yeah.
But what about just the simple, here's the scheme, here's the play, backup quarterback versus Patrick Mahomes? 3rd and 1 throw to Noah Gray. Go break that play down. Because I heard a discussion on Monday about, why did the Chiefs throw deep on 3rd and 1? Why did they do this? Why wouldn't they just simply get the first down? And it's like, well, and I think Soren said, well, were the Raiders mad that Devontae Adams touchdown on 4th down and 1? There are different ways of going about it. And my response to that, thinking to myself, listening, was they didn't set out to go deep on 3rd and 1. That 3rd and 1 play was kind of close to the Tyreek Hill, Chad Henne 4th down against the Browns. Jerick McKinnon came in motion. Mahomes takes the snap. He rolls to his right. He's supposed to hit McKinnon. He's not there. Allegretti turns around to show. He's not open. Watson is on the left side of the offensive line. He's dragging across to hit the under. Travis Kelce is to the right of Andrew Wiley, and he just runs deep and clears it out. He is a decoy. He is a clear out. That's what his job is. They're going to focus on Travis Kelce. It's 3rd and 1. It's all about Kelce here. He just goes and clears it out, and they have extra attention. Then Watson should be open underneath. If they put extra attention right out of the gates, Jerick McKinnon should be open when he's going in motion out in the flat, and Mahomes is rolling to his right so that he has McKinnon, he has Watson, or he can even look back and find Allegretti for the touchdown like they did that time.
I legitimately think Nick Allegretti might have been a read on that play before Noah Gray was.
I think he might have been, yes.
I don't know that for sure, but it's reasonable to presume.
Change out number 15 and put number 4 in the game. Same play. Rolls to his right. Everything is covered. The Titans sniff that out. If you're complaining about that call where they went and found Noah Gray because they went deep, the complaint for that is they were so predictable the Titans knew what they were going to do.
Right.
The Titans knew Jerick McKinnon, Justin Watson, Travis Kelce's going deep, and we're only guarding him with one guy. We know what you're doing here because he's going in motion and Mahomes is rolling to his right. We got you. Mahomes goes to his right. McKinnon covered. Watson covered. Kelce decoy. He's getting pressured to his face. What does Chad Henne do? Throws the ball away and punt it, and it's 4th down and 1. You live to fight another
right,
day.
They hand it off.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on that same exact play.
Yeah.
Not they call something different.
No, I'm saying throw it away and try running it on 4th and 1.
That's exactly. Yeah.
Try another crack at it.
Sorry about that. I thought when you said hand it off, like, well, you do something
on
different
4th and 1.
That's
you
right.
hand it off.
That's right. He throws it away. He doesn't then stop, see the defender in his face, roll back to his left, then step up to the line of scrimmage and throw the ball to Noah Gray. That specific play, we know for a fact, was completed only because of the greatness of Mahomes and Noah Gray making a play for his quarterback, both of those things. That was not a play to let's go deep with Noah Gray. That was a short play, let's just pick up the first down, that was so predictable the Titans knew what you were doing. And I guarantee if Chad Henne was in the game, they would have doubly known what you were doing, because the last time you were in a big situation like this, you ran almost the same play.
So I actually know what would have happened if it would have been a lesser quarterback, because the play this reminded me of at the time was when Chris Jones was the one right in front of Malik Willis, and he didn't try to close in on him. He just did the hand thing.
That's right.
He just held his hand out and just kind of waved it in his face like, hey, no, look at me. Don't look over there. You can't see this. You can't see this through me.
I am wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Literally that. He's trying to sell a used car and make it harder to throw that pass, just getting into his lane, right?
That's right.
That's what you expect to happen there, is that you have a free rusher kind of floating with the quarterback, and eventually the quarterback throws it away. On this play, Patrick Mahomes scrambled 26.5 yards.
Is that what it was?
On a play that ended up picking up 27.
Wow.
26, that's from Next Gen Stats.
Okay.
26.5 yards before throwing that ball. So the very specific complaint about I didn't hear the questioning that you're referring to.
Well, it wasn't the only one on I went back and on Twitter after the game was over trying to listen, and I saw that too, and it's been a complaint. So it's not just one person.
Sure,
it's like,
no.
Let me make a commentary out of one person. I've seen this before of, well, why did they do this? Why didn't they just simply pick up the first down?
Sure.
I actually think the Chiefs, for the most part, run to the sticks on 3rd and short, 4th and short, that they do the plays
better than most.
Just get the first down.
Yes.
And then we'll figure out what we do on the next play, because we believe our offense is good enough that we don't have to view this situation as the one chance to take advantage and go over the top.
Right. It is not, like that, like the Raiders' Devontae Adams one that you mentioned. That was the Raiders saying, maybe we got a shot to do something here.
Yep.
We're not going to have a lot of chances to catch them unaware of Devontae Adams' deep threat.
They're putting Rashad Fenton one-on-one and Devontae Adams. We don't even think that guy's going to be a Chief after the trade deadline.
I bet he gets traded for a conditional 7th-round pick later on.
That guy wearing number 27 looks like a conditional 7th-round pick. Let's go after him.
He looks like a Falcon to me. Let's try him. But in the Raiders' instance there, that might be one of the only times you can get a one-on-one deep shot to Devontae Adams because of how the Chiefs have been playing him. If you're Noah Gray just working down the field on a play that probably took 7 seconds, 8 seconds to that point, you're just trying to find some open space, and that's what they did. That's what this whole offense does. Once the play breaks down and Mahomes keeps it alive, because he has those traits that, from Chad Henne to Malik Willis to literally almost anyone other than Josh Allen, Mahomes and Allen have a similar set of skills there. But no one else even keeps that play alive. A very particular set of skills.
Say.
I would hate to live in a world where Patrick Mahomes in the Chiefs offense doing Patrick Mahomes in the Chiefs offense things makes you upset. Like, if that's where you're, not you, but if you're watching that going, I can't believe that Mahomes scrambled for 26.5 yards and then threw the ball to the 3rd-string tight end 27 yards downfield. Grr, I'm so mad. Like, you just don't enjoy watching fun football. You should watch, I don't know, bowling.
And I think there are
no shade to bowling.
There are times when the result of the play wasn't what the plan was. Like, they didn't call a Patrick Mahomes run on 3rd and 17.
But
that's what happened,
right, exactly.
because Patrick Mahomes is brilliant.
Complaining about this play would be like complaining about, I can't believe they let Patrick Mahomes run it on 3rd and 17. He should have been looking downfield. He was. Yes. He did. I've got the route concept in front of me. This Next Gen Stats tweet of the Noah Gray play. You've got Watson, like you said, working all the way across the middle as Mahomes works right. I'm sure he was looking for that. You have Allegretti just sort of setting up shop right past the first down marker.
Yep.
You have the sort of crumbled up backfield with Burton rolling out in front of where Mahomes ended up moving, with McKinnon rolling out in front of where Mahomes ended up moving.
Kelsey clearing out.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think they put the Kelsey dot on here.
Oh, really? Because Kelsey just ran straight down the field, almost like to the pylon. It was almost like what you would call like a corner route, only he already started on the right side of the hash. So he kind of just runs what would be a route to the corner almost.
I don't know what the Next Gens. I think the dots might have. I think they might have a wrong number somewhere. I'll look at it later.
Doesn't matter either way.
But it is a Patrick Mahomes dynamicism play, not a Patrick Mahomes stuck in the pocket play. Because Patrick Mahomes stuck in the pocket here, they wouldn't have converted. And also, this does leave open the option for him to just run to the sideline and chuck it away. Because it is 3rd and 1, not 4th and 1.
That's absolutely right. And so that's something that I want to use as a springboard into a conversation to start off the show here. Again, Cynthia Frelund, 11 o'clock. We'll hear from the Chiefs today. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, TBD. Mick Shaffer, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Shot clock reviews. We'll do an update on the zone over-unders.
Also, there's going to be a Sad Fans on Reddit.
Yes, that's right. Sad Fans from Reddit coming up at 1 o'clock. Thank you, sir. And then there's a really cool deal that John O'Hurley is a part of. Yes, John O'Hurley, otherwise known as maybe Jay Peterman. You've seen him with Family Feud and some other game shows and different roles in his life.
Family Feud and the Dog Show is what exactly I thought of.
The dog show coming up on Thanksgiving, and he is a part of something really cool going on in Kansas City with American Century. Our friends over at American Century, great Kansas City company, giving billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to cancer research for what they do. And a really fun golf tournament as well that they put on, and John O'Hurley's been a part of it, and he loves dogs, and there's something that American Century is doing, and so we'll talk with him coming up later on in this hour about that, and also just, how much of a Providence Friar fan he is, because I wonder if there is a way that he could give just a little bit of the Friar luck to another fan base, that Providence just finds ways. Last year was the luckiest. They were the luckiest team in like 2 decades, according to KenPom, because they won all these games by a close margin. They won the Big East regular season in their first time in their history. They end up losing to Kansas in the Sweet 16, so that certainly is a tie-in as well. But they were graded as the luckiest team in like 2 decades, according to KenPom's luck metric, which is a part of it. But you're talking about late game situations, the ball going in, the ball going out, come from behind victories down by 19, and you find a way to, win that game. And last night they are trailing by 13. They have a 1-point lead against Ryder, and the Ryder point guard is driving to the basket and trips and falls. And they win by 1. Doesn't mean he was going to make it. He could have very well missed it. But the fact that he just trips and falls and it didn't hit anybody else's foot, he just trips and falls, is very Providence carrying over from last year. So if there's a little bit that he can give out to other fan bases,
maybe share some divine providence.
That's right. If he's a fan of the Padres, Friars, I'm not sure. So that's coming up later on this hour. I use that Mahomes play, 3rd and 1, to as a launching pad for the conversation around Josh Allen. That I wonder how big of a deal this is going to be. I tried to find the tweet this morning when I got into the office. I saw it much earlier this morning that said, and it was an NFL reporter that I respect. I just don't remember who it was. I don't think it was Mike Tannenbaum, but it was in that line.
I'll look into it.
That said, the Bills are traditionally conservative when it comes to injuries. They don't play players that are limited. They are extra cautious. They believe in health over individual games. And he said that as in, I don't expect Josh Allen to play this weekend against the Vikings. Now, I immediately went to the to DraftKings to see what the line was, and it's still Vikings plus 4.5. Now, if that thing moves in a direction of plus 2.5 or plus 1, or maybe they're favored, then that's Vegas saying Josh Allen is not playing this weekend. Okay.
Vikings are playing pretty good football.
They have been playing pretty good football, and they're almost, it feels like, hey, Josh Allen may not play, and we've still got him as almost 5-point dogs. You should put money on this Vikings team, because Aaron Schatz at Football Outsider does not think the Vikings are all that good. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, they're undefeated, but they're playing like the 21st best team in football. Sometimes the scores dictate all you need to know. Sometimes there's something in between the dash, and what Football Outsiders is saying may or may not be true, that the Vikings aren't really playing great football. They're winning games, but it's like, well, the Chiefs beat the Titans. Did they play great football? I don't know. Mm-hmm. They won. I know that, but I don't think they played great that game. They've won some games where it didn't feel like they played great, and they've won some games where they played phenomenal football and just beat a team down. So I want to hear from Dan Graziano. Can you play Dan Graziano weighing in, and NFL, ESPN's NFL reporter says that what he's hearing is that the Bills are not sure about their level of concern with Josh Allen right now.
The level of appropriate worry is still to be determined. The Bills are still, as I understand it, collecting information on this, trying to figure out what it is exactly that they're dealing with, how it will respond to the treatment, whatever treatment they give it, whether he'll be able to do anything in practice this week, and how the elbow will respond to that. They just don't know exactly the extent of it, the severity of it, and the potential impact it'll have on their season just yet. They should know more today, maybe more tomorrow, and I think we'll have a better sense of this as the week goes along. But guys, it's not nothing, right? Like even if he played this week, he probably wouldn't be 100% in the throwing arm. So it's something to keep an eye on, and the way he and they manage it over the next couple of weeks could actually determine the outcome of their season and maybe the entire AFC.
They're still figuring out what the issue is. I kind of feel like Tuesday afternoon, when the injury happened Sunday afternoon, if you're still figuring out what the extent is, the first indication to me is it's not serious to where the thing is ruptured and they're going, well, it's, he's
Tommy John.
Yeah, Tommy John, right? It's a UCL tear, and he's going to be out this year and maybe part of next year. Like, it's not something where on Tuesday, if somebody tears an ACL on a Sunday, by a Tuesday, right? That it's something. And you even already hear that they don't feel like it's good. There's an indication that the results are not going to be positive for this. So I don't think it's that bad. But I agree with Dan Graziano when he says it's not nothing, because they're still trying to figure out the extent and how bad this injury is, which says that there is something going on there, that they don't just simply want to go, he's fine. He came back in the game, or he played. If that happened in the third quarter, he played the fourth quarter, he'd be like, he's okay, all good. I want to play Mike Tannenbaum, if you can, before we take a break, and then we'll get into the Mahomes, Henne, how it then leads into what the Bills might be facing, because this is obviously a huge story if Josh Allen misses a week or 2 weeks or whatever it might be. Here's Mike Tannenbaum on the Bills' perspective with this Josh Allen injury.
Everything about this situation is ominous to me, starting with how Sean McDermott said, we don't know yet, because when you're talking about your franchise quarterback, you want to say, hey, he's going to play in the game, we may limit reps. He did not say that. So to the extent that they're doing more tests and there could be a history here, all those things that are going on right now are of massive concern. And I'll take it a step further, guys. I'm not worried about Sunday. I'm not worrying about the next 10 years of Sunday. So I am going to err on the side of caution if I'm the owner, the head coach, the GM. And sometimes you have to protect a player like Josh Allen from himself.
So we'll see what happens this week. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I want to continue on that line of thinking of Josh Allen. Do you protect him from himself? Who steps in with Case Keenum being the backup quarterback? Is it the same level of a Patrick Mahomes to Chad Henne, a Josh Allen to Case Keenum? We can talk about that, and also what we may be seeing in the betting markets overall just with this season and what this may mean moving forward. We'll talk and hang out with John O'Hurley, a little dog conversation coming up later on this hour. Cynthia Frelund, NFL Network analytics expert, want to know her thoughts on the difference of Josh Allen versus Case Keenum in a game. If they do, like Mike Tannenbaum says, he says the Bills should be thinking about the next decade, not the next 10 games, the next 10 years, or 10 days. Not the next 10 days, the next 10 years is what should be on the mind of the owner, the GM, the coach, and Josh Allen. So we'll weigh a little bit more in on that. We'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Mick Shaffer, sad fans on Reddit, from Titans fans, shot clock reviews, and an update to the ZOUs. We'll do that all as we continue right here on a Wednesday edition of The Zone, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Sorry you didn't have any friends.
I did not.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, and Beards. 11 o'clock, Cynthia Frelund. Coming up 11:45 or so, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and TBD. Man, if there was a player that was named TBD like CEH and MVS, I would not be able to say Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, TBD. Coming up at the press conference later on, TODAY. So we talked about the Bills and what's going on with Josh Allen. Do want to make a correction. So as I was watching that play again yesterday, and I'm watching just what the tight end was doing and running down the seam and seeing the underneath with Watson and Jerick McKinnon and Allegretti, I'm an idiot. Go ahead and mark that. And I saw the 8 because there was a defender on him, and I just assumed that was Kelsey clearing out. I thought Noah Gray was on the left side of the offensive line. But that was actually Noah Gray that was running that route, just a seam.
Yeah.
And then he stops, adjusts, as Mahomes stops and goes back to his left. Gray then stops and goes to the left side of the screen.
It's down the seam, and then he kind of drifts with Mahomes as Mahomes drifts right. And then he gets the defender on the outside, and I have to imagine at this point it is improv ball.
Yeah, it's
he puts his foot in the ground, turns it up, and Mahomes gets it to him.
Mahomes finds him.
Really is one of the instances where the dots are just a really fun journey.
And it also makes it maybe a little more impressive, I don't know, in that who are the skill position players for Mahomes on 3rd and 1 that they end up picking up 20-plus yards?
I'm going to tweet this out, and also I'm quote tweeting the dots, so if anyone who wants to see those can watch them as well.
Can you quote tweet a dot?
I'm going to quote tweet the dot.
Okay.
So we've got Jerick McKinnon and Michael Burton in the backfield.
Okay.
Noah Gray comes in motion, lines up tight. Okay. He is actually offset off the line of scrimmage because Nick Allegretti is an eligible receiver, and Justin Watson is the lone wideout. So Patrick Mahomes' options, his eligible targets on 3rd and 1 in overtime, were Jerick McKinnon, Noah Gray, Michael Burton, Justin Watson, and Nick Allegretti. And this concludes today's conversation about Patrick Mahomes being the NFL MVP this year.
It also concludes the conversation of, man, the Titans really sniffed out what they were going to do on that play. How could they possibly have seen the Chiefs were going to run Jerick McKinnon in motion and throw short with Patrick Mahomes rolling to his right and have Watson dragging underneath? How would they not know that they would run like a route with Juju like they did on 4th down, or Travis Kelce, or MVS, or a little sweep to McColl? Why did they think that was? Oh,
this is the we swear we're going to run formation.
That's right. Gotcha. We did not run, and the Titans are. It's 3rd and 1. They're going to run on 4th and 1.
Right, exactly.
This is a pass. We will call your bluff on
And they
this
were
one.
right. The Titans crushed it. They defended this play so well for so long.
Perfect, but you can't defend that.
Nope.
You just can't simply defend that. So we talked about the difference between what Mahomes and Henne can be, what just regular quarterbacks and backup quarterbacks, especially if you have a high-level QB. What Soren talks about all the time with Peyton Manning taking all the reps in practice. And it's like, yeah, but what if he goes down? Then it doesn't matter.
Right.
If he gets hurt, it doesn't matter how many reps the backup quarterback got because Peyton's not there. So, no, we're going to get Peyton ready to play. And if he's hurt, throw the whole thing out anyway, okay? So,
can I give you the quote from Tom Moore? You just reminded me of that. This is a tweet from Sam Monson of PFF. Said, John Gruden once asked Tom Moore why Peyton's backups didn't get more reps. Quote, fellas, if 18 goes down, we're bleeped, and we don't practice bleeped.
I love that quote.
Such a good quote.
So much better than just simply if Peyton goes down, it doesn't matter. No, we don't practice bleeped. We don't practice effed. We don't do that. Here's Dominique Foxworth. Now, Mike Tannenbaum said they should be worried about the next decade, next 10 years, not the next 10 days. Dominique Foxworth weighing in on the Bills and what he's saying about the bigger picture for them.
honestly, at this point, I could care less about the first round bye or the seeding or going on the road. And I know the decisions are never this clear. And but if the decision was we have to go on the road for all the playoffs, but we rest Josh Allen and he's 100% healthy, or he's 80% healthy and we get the first round bye, give me 100% and we'll go on the road. I think he and they are that good that they'd rather have that.
I mean, that's the same choice I would want the Chiefs to make with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
That I'll take 100% Patrick Mahomes on the road than an 80% Patrick Mahomes at home. Because we saw what a compromised Patrick Mahomes can look like in the Super Bowl, with the foot injury. And it's not the best way of going about business, even though in that more compromised was the overall offense with the offensive line. But that he was working through some pain and trying to just get through the game, and then he had to have surgery to repair that foot. So I'd rather have a healthy Mahomes and go on the road 3 weeks in a row than a compromised Patrick Mahomes and, you get a home game here. Okay, cool. No, I'll take the road game and a healthy Patrick Mahomes because I think the team can go on the road and beat anybody. I think they can play at home and lose to the Bengals. We saw that. So I would want the Chiefs to take that same tact. Here's Dominique Foxworth weighing in on the backup quarterback and Josh Allen not playing and what would happen to the Bills if he did not play.
Knowing that they have Case Keenum backing him up, like Case Keenum isn't going to be a Pro Bowl level talent, but it's not a complete drop off. It's not all right, you're definitely going to lose, especially with the talent that they have and what we saw the Cowboys do early in the year with Cooper Rush. I think this team is talented enough to survive without Josh Allen because they need to have him healthy for the playoffs. But there's no guarantee that they get home field advantage. There's no guarantee that they even make the playoffs in a tough division and a loaded AFC right now. It's a bit scary.
If it's not a big drop-off from Josh Allen to Case Keenum, then let's end MVP conversations because it is.
Right.
It is. I mean, if you said Patrick Mahomes is out and Case Keenum is filling in, it's not a huge drop-off. I would beg to differ.
Yeah.
Case Keenum is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. If you said Josh Allen is going to be missing this game, but they've traded for Kirk Cousins, it's not a terrible drop-off because he can get the job done. Okay, starting quarterback, putting up good numbers. You see what he can do with talent around him.
It's such a funny name because I think that we have seen the drop-off from Kirk Cousins to Case Keenum might not be that far.
Right, that's a
now
good
that
point.
I'm thinking about it.
That's a good point.
So
yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe throw in a different
Dominique
quarterback.
is right. I furrowed my brow when I heard it too,
Yes.
but now I'm coming around.
Maybe throw in a different name.
Maybe Case Keenum is a better quarterback than we're giving him credit for.
Well, he should be starting somewhere then because there seem to be some quarterback issues on different teams.
Yeah.
But it's a drop-off. Now, we'll see if they win. We'll see if they lose, whatever that happens against the Vikings. Couple things that I want to point out, and then we'll get into some other topics as the show goes along and certainly react to whatever Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have to say and the conversation with Cynthia Frelund coming up at 11 o'clock. But did you see who moved into the betting favorite this week for the MVP?
I have two good guesses.
Go ahead.
I believe that Patrick Mahomes is once again the favorite for the Most Valuable Player award.
That is correct. He is at plus 200. See who moved into second place.
It's Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. It's plus 250.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is now plus 350. He has fallen 2 spots from leading all season long to now being in third. Also, did you see the Bills' regular season win total updated?
No.
You didn't?
I didn't see that one.
Because you can't, because it's off the board right now.
Ah, tricky.
It's off the board. Vegas is saying they don't know what's going on either.
Yeah.
So just something to keep an eye on. I do think there's a drop-off, and I do think we see the difference between us. Because when Chad Henne's out there, or Case Keenum, or any backup quarterback is out there, you just don't know what you're missing.
Right.
I've said this about, when Chris Farley died. We have no idea what we've missed out on in the comedy. Philip Seymour Hoffman, when he overdosed. We have no idea the brilliance that we've missed out in acting and performances that have taken place when things like that go on. No idea what we've missed out on. We just can never know, and it sucks. And when somebody who plays brilliant football is not there, we just don't know the brilliance that we're missing. The plays that you go, I can't believe that happened.
That's a great point.
What they do, we just don't know. We know what the results are, but we don't know what a difference might have made in one play here or there that we know in a game that we watch specifically 3rd and 1 when it's designed to go a certain place and it is well covered and the best player on the planet says, I'm going to keep this play alive and see what I can get and use my athleticism, use my spatial awareness, and my ability to throw the ball and give my player a chance to go and make a play.
You never would watch 3rd and 1 without the quarterback and say, oh, Chad Henne's got to make that throw. Because you would never think of it.
No.
You would never. I love that analogy for artists and actors that we lose too soon, musicians. If we don't know what they would have made next. If Chad Henne's out there, the play doesn't last that long, Noah Gray never gets open, and you just go, okay, well, he extended the play as long as he couldn't throw it away. Next down.
And maybe they pick it up on 4th down, they run the ball, they go down, they kick a field goal like they did, they win the game, you move on, and it's 20-17, and you go, yeah, they would have beat that team down with Patrick Mahomes out there, because we wouldn't have known what it would have been like
also
if
true.
Penny played instead
absolutely.
of Patrick. We would have definitely said they would have destroyed the Titans with Patrick Mahomes
if they had Mahomes for those AFC South games, they wouldn't have gone 0-4, no chance.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes wouldn't tear apart the worst secondary in the NFL.
Right.
Like, come on. He put up 450 yards against that team. Oh, wait. He did. They'd score at will. They did not do that. But it happens. We'll talk with Cynthia Frelund coming up at 11 o'clock. John O'Hurley, we'll talk with him in the next segment. He's got something cool going on, or at least part of something cool and promoting something cool with American Century and his love of dogs in his life. So we'll talk with him, have a little fun there. Hear from the Chiefs, hear from Mick Shaffer. Sad fans on Reddit, all still to come on a Wednesday.
Follow the show on Twitter. Anderson at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
So I looked.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. We'll talk with Cynthia, Frelund, NFL Network analytics expert, coming up at 11 o'clock. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes at about 11:45. All still to come here on Sports Radio 810 on this Wednesday edition of The Zone. Very pleased to bring in our next guest and visit with John O'Hurley, who people may know from Seinfeld, may know from game shows, may know from Dancing with the Stars, and may know from just simply being a dog lover and dog show, and also books that he has written about dogs. He joins us here in The Zone on this Wednesday. John, how are you, sir?
I couldn't be better. How are you?
I am doing just fine. I'm glad that you could not be better. I figured another show you might be better, but thank you for saying that to us.
I am apocalyptic. No,
so,
you go run to the dictionary right now.
You know what? I'm looking it up. I'm having somebody else look it up and tweet it to me. Thank you. Have somebody else do my work. That's great. Look, you've written 3 books. You should know words. You know words. Okay, all right. You got the dictionary right next to you. All right, so what's going on today? I know that you're working with American Century, and we've talked to you out in Tahoe a number of times, and certainly enjoy our time with American Century in Tahoe with that golf tournament. But this is the grand opening of Canine Capital that we're hearing with American Century. So what is going on? And they bring you in to help with this press conference. So what's the deal with Canine Capital?
Well, they have started something that is unique in the world of business. They are now recognizing that to bring the employees back to work from the pandemic and recognizing the bonds that they have formed with their pets over that time need to be transferred into the workplace as well. So they're combining Canine Capital here, which is a program that allows employees to put their dogs into doggy daycare and really well professionally managed doggy daycare. And it gives them an opportunity to spend time with them during their breaks during the day. They can watch the dogs playing. It gives the dogs a chance to socialize, so you get rid of some of the separation anxiety that dogs have. And you will know that when you open your door and find your rug torn apart when you come home from work. But because the bonds are so strong between employees and their pets, hats off to American Century for recognizing that this is a bond that needs to be nurtured.
Did you guys weigh in at all as to whether or not they will be taking advice from dogs on investments or anything? Just I haven't seen anything like that, and I don't think that question was asked, and I kind of feel like it needs to be addressed.
Well, there is an eeny, meeny, miny, mo kind of feel to things, sure.
For sure. As you know what, sometimes it's just as easy as that. You know what, NCAA tournament, flip a coin. You never know what happens. Speaking of dogs, it reminds me of the NCAA tournament. I had a buddy who won a bracket in 2014 because he bet only dog mascots.
Wow.
And it was, or not 2014, it was UConn Butler. It was when UConn beat Butler in the NCAA tournament championship. He won the bracket that year, John, because he's a dog lover and he only bet or picked dog mascots to win.
Isn't that something? I have a 15-year-old son who only picks his master's pool by how strange their name sounds.
So, well, you know what? It might work. I mean, you never know what the result is going to be. For you personally, though, I don't want to call it a niche or more of a calling where your life was going to be as involved with dogs, with writing books and hosting the National Dog Show. That I don't know, maybe people know you more from that than Seinfeld now.
Well, it's
becoming,
it's becoming, well, it's the number one show that NBC does all year long. We garner an audience globally now of over 30 million people for the show. It's really become its own entity. There really isn't anything like it. And I think, hats off to NBC for probably the greatest piece of programming ever done. I don't know that anything else they could have slipped in there that would have garnered those type of ratings. So it's also become, more importantly, a family tradition because, whether you're 4 or you're 94, there's something to watch. And there's something nice about having a piece on television that deserves to be blessed with permanence because it's something that everybody can watch and everybody loves their dogs, and it's just a wonderful celebration for a couple of hours. It gives us a chance to be thankful for them as well.
When did you know that?
And
that
then and then football.
Right. So it's dogs, it's your pets, it's football, it's food, it's family, it's all of that, and the dogs are part of the family. When was that go? When did you kind of feel like this was going to be something that you spent a good part of your life being around, working with, emceeing, writing about? When did that sort of feeling come about that this was something you would be doing?
I'll begin with the success of the show the first year. I mean, we were replacing reruns of It's a Wonderful Life, which we had less than 1 million people watching. That first year that we did the dog show, nobody knew. It was a shot in the dark, and we had 19 million people that tuned in. Pretty astounding. And the show, contrary to other viewing habits and alternative viewing habits that have happened over the last 20 years, we're getting a larger slice of the pie, and everybody else is getting a smaller slice. So there's something to be said for the dogs really, do something to our lives that hold the viewership.
Has John O'Hurley is our guest. Has American Century, when they start the Canine Capital, I'm wondering, I mean, they've obviously well researched in almost everything they do, so they wouldn't do it if it's just on a whim and let's throw a dart and see what happens. It's not the eeny, meeny, miny, mo of what they do with investments with the dogs that are there. Not the same thing, but I'm wondering how much maybe of the research and the numbers may show the increased work, the work-life experience while you're there at the office, if you have this ability to go down and hang out with your pet for a little bit?
Well, let me begin by saying this was the brainchild of Jonathan Thomas, the CEO there and head coach of American Century. This was his, again, this came out of his imagination, saying, here's a new way to recruit and to retain the people that we want to bring back into the workplace now that everybody's no longer working from home and trying to spend more time at the office, and to genuinely form a community again. Because remember, it's been, Zoom meetings don't increase intimacy. It's still a foreign medium, and it doesn't really create. It's a tough medium. It's a necessary medium, but it's still tough, and it's not the same as the human eye-to-eye personal bonding. And I think this, with Canine Capital, it brings a lot of the resistance that some employees are having, and answers a very fundamental one.
Our boss has a relationship with Jonathan Thomas. I just wonder if that's something he would be adopting here, because there are a number of dog lovers and dog owners around the office here. I didn't know if maybe that would be something that Jonathan Thomas would talk to him about. If there's something like, if Josh, you could bring.
I think if you just bring his sorry ass right into that station right now, right into that booth, I'll have a chat with him.
Get your ass in here, Chad. All right. He said bring your sorry. John O'Hurley said that. I did not. By the way, I disagree with everything John O'Hurley just said.
That's what he said.
I think it's phenomenal. I'm just repeating what he had said. That's all. I'm just that's whatever it might be.
Hey, Jason, this is Jonathan.
Hey, John.
I'm here with John. I'm here with John. You tell Chad he can bring his dog in anytime he wants.
Well, I have seen him bring his dog in. I just wonder if that's allowed for others to bring in. Because the only daycare that's going on here is when my 7-year-old does not have school, and I bring him in here. And it's kind of the same thing. People, hang out with him, they pet him, they feed him. He does tricks. He's not house trained yet.
Yeah, he pees on the carpet.
He's getting there. He's getting there. We're almost there. But it's kind of like the doggy daycare, the canine capital of the world. We just call it the Everett capital of Todd Lebo's office, is what it is.
Anywhere I've seen a company include dogs in the business environment, it has never been anything but a plus.
Yeah.
I do a lot of work with Purina, the sponsor for the National Dog Show, consequently presented by Purina. But and so I'm out on their campus often. Now you can actually bring the dog to work with you, or your pet to work with you. As I joke, you could, if you had an emu, you could bring your emu. And it's nothing but a positive thing. It's nothing but a positive thing. People just, dogs round off the edges in our lives, and they take care of some of the stress factors that are so common during a business day. It's just, if you just have your dog who always thinks you're a rock star, no matter how many things go wrong, you've always got somebody that cares about you.
I think a lot of people especially learned that over the course of the pandemic with all of the, kind of the problem you guys are hoping to solve with this. I'm curious, John, with all the dogs you've been around, you've also been around a lot of dog owners. I think most quote-unquote bad dogs aren't the dog's fault, right? What do you see from dog owners or dog havers? Owner's a very big word. From dog partners that end up making the best dog handlers to create a dog that's there to be supportive and the best animal possible.
Well, I think the biggest mistake made when you take a dog into your life is that you don't train it. And because it's frustrating for the dog, because the dog doesn't want to be punished for inappropriate behavior, and especially chronic inappropriate behavior. And so the best way out of that is to right there train your dog so that your dog knows where it is supposed to pee. Your dog knows where certain commands, not to run away when they're on the leash, how to heel, do the thing. All of these contribute to a great experience, which help the dog. You know what I mean? It's not really it helps you; it helps the dog have a much fuller experience with their owner and their handler.
This is the same thing that took place the week after my marriage, oddly enough. I don't know how that what took place
there. For training.
Yes, Jonathan, when did this start to come into the vision for you that this was something you might go down the road of presenting at American Century?
Yeah, it was during the pandemic. All three of my kids ended up getting a dog during the pandemic. They're all in their 20s. And then that really caused me to take notice of everybody getting these pandemic puppies. And I have this tool at the office where every employee can directly email me anything that's on their mind. And as the pandemic, as we were starting, we had a lot of false starts of us coming back into the office, starting in 2020 and then through 2021. But as we were having those false starts, a lot of employees talked to me about the anxiety they were going to have about leaving their puppy at home or their dog at home for the first time during the pandemic. And, I really focus on creating a family culture here. I talk about being kind all the time, collaborating and working as a team. And I really feel like so many families are rounded out by the dog in their life that it would be a really neat option to do this. And so we looked around the country and the city to find out who we could model this after. And what we learned is that nobody else is doing it. We first figured out we're the only ones in Kansas City. We now believe we might be the only people in the country that offer this to their employees. So there wasn't anyone for us to model it after, but we reached out to Andy Witz from Woof's Play and Stay, who he's a local Kansas City guy. He runs 10 doggy daycares here around the city. And like everything else we do, we hired a pro to run it for us. And so we just had our ribbon tugging, not ribbon cutting, ribbon tugging this morning. And Andy is the person running this facility for us. And huge turnout from employees. We actually had to limit who could come there. I'm not sure whether it was John O'Hurley being there that created all the interest of the doggy daycare, but certainly between the two, the interest in this canine capital is super high.
John, I have one more question for you, kind of based on the enormous crowds that apparently follow you everywhere you go.
Which John? Jonathan? John?
O'Hurley, Mr. O'Hurley.
Okay,
yeah, I went John, not Jonathan. I thought that was maybe how we were making the distinction. You guys, so far, you guys have split it up perfectly. But I'm curious, John. What's the strangest thing that people recognize you from occasionally? Because we mentioned Seinfeld and obviously the Dog Show, Family Feud. But John, in a way, to me, you're a god. Now, that god is King Neptune the 14th.
That's a good point.
But, that is a legitimate cultural touchstone for me growing up, is the SpongeBob universe, and you being literally a king, if not a god. Is that the strangest thing that you found the new audience from over your career, or is there one even stranger?
That's very interesting. I've done some rather strange commercials in my life. Some of those have been blessedly wiped from YouTube and will never show up again. But in terms of being, I would say some of the animation that I've done, probably. Yeah. Although, I have to say, because Seinfeld is so popular in not just the States, but it was also popular all around the world. 85 countries it's syndicated. So consequently, people would call me to do endorsements. And oddly enough, I would do endorsements for companies that would have me say things that you can't always say in the United States. One of them was in Australia. I was the spokesman for quite a while for McDonald's. And they had me basically the tale of the commercial was, "You look like more of a man with a quarter pounder in your hand." You can't say that on
phrasing. Phrasing. Yeah, that's.
We had a real strict. I don't know if you could notice the tension, John. We had a real strict understood. Nobody make any noise so we can have this audio for the rest of time rule happening here.
Stay out of the way. Don't step on whatever he's about to say.
Wow,
just let that thing.
That's fantastic.
Let that thing breathe. That's what we're doing.
Extra quarter pounder in this show today.
Yes.
Wow.
John O'Hurley and Jonathan Thomas, American Century Investments, and a fantastic tournament. We know a fantastic local company, and the billions of dollars that they give to cancer research. Certainly, giving back has made a huge difference across the country and in the fight to defeat that as well. And also trying to find different ways to increase the productivity or even increase the happiness of those employees around the office as well. John, I had a blast. I really appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us a little bit. And Jonathan Thomas, well done on this. And hopefully it's something that starts a trend across the country, and we see a difference being made in that space as well.
We'll see you in Tahoe.
Absolutely. Yes, that's the hope. Let's talk to Chad. Chad, get in here. John O'Hurley said we'll see you in Tahoe.
And we're taking our dogs.
That's right.
He said we could. John said we could.
Jonathan Thomas said there's a doggy daycare at Edgewood. That's what he said. He's setting it up. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it, as always. That's awesome.
Thank you, guys.
There you go. There's Jonathan Thomas, American Century Investments, and John O'Hurley, Jay Peterman, Family Feud, as we talked about, and coming up, the National Dog Show on Thanksgiving, which you said roughly around the world, 30 million viewers for the dog show.
King Neptune the 14th.
And King Neptune.
Arguably, could have been the first thing on the byline when you were saying all that, but, you know, has to be added at least.
Potato. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and we'll continue rolling. We'll talk with Cynthia, Frelund, NFL Network analytics expert, coming up next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
What do you think of Greinke with the Chiefs? You like the deal, you like the signing, and what he can bring.
I
can't
think,
get football out of his mind.
I think personally,
what did I say?
I think that Greinke should pitch for the Royals,
Did I say the
even
Chiefs?
though the Chiefs have a hole in their secondary. I think we should let him stay there.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I will continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Josh Brisco, Beards. Thank you to John O'Hurley. We have pass along some information. It's not breaking news, but Sean McDermott calls Josh Allen day-to-day with the right elbow injury. He's still being evaluated for a UCL injury, is Josh Allen. So day-to-day he is listed right now.
As somebody who was here while Eric Berry was day-to-day for about 6 months, I give my condolences to Buffalo Bills fans and, frankly, Josh Allen's family. I'm not sure he'll ever be the same with the day-to-day designation.
I would hope that Bills fans do not pummel Sean McDermott with all of those day-to-day questions, or he's just going to do the one thing. All right, just going to do the one. That was an Eric Berry one, right? If you're going to pummel me with all these questions about Eric Berry, I'm just going to do the one. Cynthia Frelund.
Hope Josh Allen feels it in his spirit sooner rather than later.
Cynthia Frelund, NFL Network analytics expert with us here in the zone. Cynthia, how are you, ma'am?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you guys?
We are doing just fine. Okay, so you spent a lot of time around the Bills and the Bills organization. I saw a tweet this morning, and I don't remember who it was from, and I forgot to look in the break, so again, apologies to this person. But they said, historically, this regime for the Bills is more conservative when it comes to injuries. They take more of a bigger picture approach. They are, if you're limited, you're probably not playing. They might hold you out another week or two just because of the bigger picture, long-term, things like that. In your time around the Bills organization, is that typically what happens, that they are more on the conservative side when it comes to injuries than maybe some other organizations?
Well, you saw it last week, and you've seen it with Tre'Davious White not rushing back. I don't know if I think they're maybe more conservative, they're going to be just calculated, because I think they're looking to see, okay, we want to play the long game here. We want to be as healthy as we can for as long as we can. I do, however, think Josh Allen will play. I think there's probably a little asterisk there when it comes to the position of quarterback, because, there's a pretty significant drop-off. Love Case Keenum, but it's just not the same situation for them. And not that it's a must-win, but we're kind of getting into that area where, and I did some math today, and I actually have the Chiefs actually ending up with the bye, and I think the Bills probably value that bye. So, plus Josh Allen doesn't want to not play at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all Josh Allen wants to do is play football.
Is there, and I heard some NFL players this morning weighing in on it and saying that, when it comes to somebody like Josh Allen or just the NFL, that organizations have a responsibility to protect the player from himself, right? I mean, we hear that all the time. I would guess Josh Allen would be that person. The organization would have to say, no, we're not letting you play, dude. We're not even giving you the choice.
Yeah, but I guess,
if it's that bad.
If it's that bad, right? Like, we don't really know, and that's the thing that's hard, because especially with something like your elbow and the way he plays, and it's kind of wild. Like, thank goodness it's nothing. I think a lot of what they have to save players from themselves about is like reporting concussions and things like that, because there's kind of a culture where that seems like it's not as like valid of a reason not to play or something, in the past, and they all hide from the independent person, and but realistically, like, the team does have a responsibility to save them from their elbows or their heads or their toes or any other body part.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that, well, if he plays, then they're not protecting him from himself. But if the team feels
I
like,
think they're top notch. They're just like the Chiefs. They're very top notch. Like, this isn't a team that's they're not even flirting with diciness. Like, they do things the right way. You can hate them for 60 minutes on the football field, or maybe a few more minutes because of overtime. But this is a team that's just as classy and as well kind of run and loved as the Chiefs. It's right on that same echelon.
Yeah, and I like Josh Allen, the person, and even the player. I just don't like Josh Allen when he's playing the Chiefs, or when he's winning games that affect the Chiefs in the bye and things like that. Cynthia Frelund is our guest, NFL Network analytics expert. So the value of let's say, for example, they hold Josh Allen out, they lose a couple of games, they don't get home field advantage, but he's fully healthy. And I'd said the first part of the show, Cynthia, that I would want the Chiefs to make that same decision. I would rather have a 100% Patrick Mahomes and play a game on the road than a compromised Patrick Mahomes playing a game at home. What's the value there between those two? Is it worth he's injured, but we get to play this game at home, as opposed to, nope, he's full strength. He's one of the best players in the NFL. He's 100% ready to go, as 100% can be in the playoffs, but he's 100% and we're playing on the road. Like, what's the more viable option of winning? Obviously, opponent would matter, but just simply making that kind of interchangeable or a constant.
I'm with you. It's 100% for me about getting the player to the most healthy spot. Like, I don't know if any player is ever playing at 100%, but let's get them as close to good and well past the area of diciness, before even putting them out there to begin with. Because in reality, we all want to see the best squad going against the best squad, and you want to play the long game. I know it's very hard to get a team where you even have aspirations to play in February. I understand. But at the end of the day, these are humans, and this is a long sport. There's always next season. And again, I'm not suggesting they should surrender in any way. I'm just saying, the trade-off isn't that one game doesn't make a big difference in terms of if you're, you don't want your quarterback to be in a bad position going into any game, let alone one in the playoffs.
This might just be anecdotal, and maybe it's something that's always been going on, but it always felt like home field advantage was the end all be all. Like, if you had home field advantage, you were, going to the Super Bowl or playing a game at home, you were winning that game. And maybe it's just over the last 3-4 years. I don't know. I haven't really studied it or put pen to paper, but it kind of feels like that's not as specific or as concrete as maybe it once felt. I mean, the Chiefs have hosted 4 straight AFC Championship games, and they've been to 2 Super Bowls. They've lost 2 of those games at home, and Arrowhead Stadium was a place where they couldn't win in the playoffs, a place that typically teams didn't go into Kansas City and win because of Arrowhead, would then go into Kansas City in the playoffs and win. So is home field advantage, is that home game as vital as it feels like from the outside? On paper with the numbers, does it say that those with home field advantage have that large a degree of advantage in the playoffs?
Everything that I've seen, it depends on how long your horizon is, right? But, there are some teams with more dramatic splits, like warm weather teams going to cold places or vice versa. There are some things that happen in those games that are a little bit, more outlier situations. But the reality is now that we've switched the playoff format where there's just one bye, that's what becomes more valuable. It's less about the where the game is actually played. It's just the fact that before you had 2 byes and now you have 1. So you're having more teams and fewer people who get to get with the free pass into the next round. So that's really the most valuable thing, as opposed to specifically going into another team's territory.
Yeah, because, again, the Bengals were underdogs in the last 2 games they played on the road, that they weren't going to beat the number 1 team and the number 2 team, and they beat both of them. So, yeah, obviously it can be done. We have just, in Kansas City, we've never seen Patrick Mahomes play a playoff game on the road. This has yet to happen. It's, it's part of his resume that he still has to check off. Can Patrick Mahomes go on the road in the playoffs and win a game? Well, he's never lost a game either on the road in the playoffs because he's never done it. I'm not asking to see that as specific. If I had my choice, they would play on the road. But I think at some point he'll probably have to play a playoff game on the road. I think at some point he's probably going to have to do that. Your math says, though, that, regardless of the Josh Allen situation in Buffalo, your math has the Chiefs with the bye?
For right now. Look, it's factoring in. I don't know what's going on with Josh Allen yet. It's Wednesday, and there's some uncertainty. But that loss to the Jets changed things, and it made it, now they're kind of staring down the barrel of what's going to happen with with the Chiefs. And look, the AFC West going into the season, we thought was going to be a really strong division, and there's been some things and injuries and weird stuff that's happened along the way, and it's proven to be a far more generous division than we originally thought.
Yeah, they were. The Chiefs had the. Chiefs were out of 8 division teams, the Chiefs were the division team from Vegas that had the closest competition for second place in terms of odds. And now they are the second strongest favorite to win a division. 8 games, 9 weeks into the season, from what we've seen that has taken place, it feels like the AFC East is what we thought the AFC West was going to be. Just change the names, change the jersey, and you would go, yep, that's what we thought. The AFC West, look how good they are. These teams that are above 500 only. It's the AFC East, and the AFC West is having their troubles outside of Kansas City.
Yeah, and I mean, look, a lot of times it's your schedule and, like I said, injuries and weird stuff. Like, I think ahead of the season, if you would have said that Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan were all struggling to the degree that we've seen, I think people have been like, I don't know if you're, what have you been, eating lately? So it's a little crazy, but, it's just the way that it's happened. And also it's kind of wild to see a game where, Zach Wilson had a double the passer rating of a Josh Allen. And, that's normal for the NFL, meaning on a one game basis, you're going to get something weird stuff can happen. But at the same time, the kind of overall themes of like which quarterbacks are good, and now all of these running. If you can't run as a quarterback, it feels like it's a big hindrance. And if you can't run and if you can't pass deep, you're not winning games in this league. Not this year.
Well, I mean, the 5 betting favorites for MVP, 4 of them are able to use their legs a good amount, and the only one in there that does not is Tua, and he's letting his receivers do the running for him is what he can do. But
he doesn't need to.
Yeah, but to your point of like the first 9 weeks of the season, what we've seen, like the 4 betting favorites for the MVP, 2 of them are Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa. Like that, I would not have guessed that. Mahomes being number 1 and Allen being right there, certainly that would have been something you would predict, but not Mahomes 1, Hurts 2, Allen 3, and Tua number 4. I would not have predicted that. So that trade has sort of benefited both teams, which is nothing wrong with that. But Tyreek has made a huge difference in Miami, and the Chiefs have been able to do what they've been doing and still sit 6-2. Cynthia Frelund, NFL Network analytics expert. Is there a clutch gene in sports, Cynthia? Is there a such thing as when the lights are brightest, when the stakes are the highest, and the game is down to its biggest moments that some players just simply come through? Is there a such thing as a clutch gene in your mind?
I don't know if it's like a gene, but I definitely think it's like a mindset and a training, and you see it on the field. Like, I don't know if, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know, is it coded in your DNA? I don't know about that part. But I do know that there are people who I would love to have like a heart rate monitor on certain people in certain moments of games, just to see or some version of maybe your brain. I don't even know. I'm not that kind of scientist, right? To know are they calmer than the rest of us would be? What's the difference, right? Because some people freak out and some people completely just get into this perfection space where they're just able to. I don't know. You see it, and it's true. I don't know how to quantify it, and maybe that's the best part of sports, right? But I would like to have the heart rate monitor, internal monologue, a true one. What are you thinking right now?
Yeah, I would love to see every quarterback, because we saw the stat, or at least the heart rate monitor that was put out on Twitter during the Bills game, that Patrick Mahomes' heart rate was lower while the play was going on when on offense. When he had the ball, the play was going on, his heart rate was lower than when he was on the bench watching the game.
So, 100%. But I guess my question is how much lower is his than Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
So it's I think it's cool to note that. But maybe I would imagine that would be the case for maybe every quarterback, because they don't have or maybe you don't want the quarterback who's happier on the bench, not trying to win the game, right?
Because you're more nervous, you can't control it.
What if we find out that Kirk Cousins' heart rate is actually higher in prime time? That would be devastating for him.
Right. And I'm not knocking Kirk Cousins. It's just we've seen him very, in major situations, have more flubs than we've seen in non-major situations. So I'm just, I guess I would love to know the standard. You'd have to normalize it for the person, and then normalize it for kind of the overall whole. I would love to know that. And I would also love to be able to feel that way just once in my life, right? To be I feel so calm. I know Travis Kelce's going to be right there. We've got this. Who cares if it's this defense, that defense, or the best defense in NFL? It doesn't matter. I would love to know what that feels like.
Is there an element of these guys have done it at a high level their whole life, that if it's something they feel like they have control of or they can make a difference with, they're more confident, more calm, cool, collected, not as anxious or nervous or whatever that might be, as opposed to I'm on the sideline and watching, and it's up to those guys to make a play, and I can't do anything about it. And now I'm just like the fans, and my stomach has the butterflies, and I'm anxious, and my heart's going crazy. I mean, I would guess like a mindset would have to go into that to where these guys have been able to make differences in games their whole life when they've played, and now they're just spectators at certain times.
I mean, we got to figure out this science experiment to figure it out, because there is you know it, you see it, it feels real when you say it, so it must be right to some degree. But what does that actually mean? So it's a wild thing. And maybe that's, like I said, part of the beauty. And what did Aaron Rodgers once say? It's hard not to get. He was sort of adapting the quote from Moneyball. It's hard not to get romantic about football. And they said in Moneyball, it's hard not to be romantic about baseball. It's kind of the same thing, right? That's part of the mystery. People always are oh, analytics are ruining football, et cetera, et cetera. And you're no, actually, you're making people more able to connect with the sport and make better decisions to put your guys in better positions, not take away the heart from it, because they still got to do the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt Quattrero, who is the new Royals manager from the Tampa Bay Rays, in his press conference and then this morning on the station with our morning show, saying that, because analytics with the Rays and with the Guardians, who he was with as well, that, people that view analytics as this, boogeyman that is out there. He said the numbers help inform our decisions. They do not make our decisions.
Right.
And I loved that.
And then the players got to do it. The players have to actually do the thing. It's wild. To say a human, wouldn't it be great if you were 100% with everyone that you're well, Patrick can throw 62 miles an hour, so let's just make him do it every time. Right? It's not going to happen all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
It's wild. So.
We said, clutch gene, I don't know if you can quantify it, but it's kind of like the definition of porn. You know it when you see it. I
exactly.
know I see Patrick Mahomes on 3rd and 17, and things hadn't been going their way, and it's kind of the biggest moment. If they get a stop there, the Chiefs are punting it away, and knowing that they are only going to have one possession left to go and tie the game and have to score a touchdown, and he runs 20 yards. In a game where he threw the ball 68 times, the story ended up being his legs. Cynthia.
I mean, I was a little wow, that number of throws, that's wild. You try to look for, one of the things I've been really tracking a lot these past 3 years I really got into it the COVID year when we had weird practice schedules. I was curious how fatigue would enter the picture, meaning in the fourth quarter, would someone throw with less velocity, or would you have an advantage if you were a guy who didn't have fatigue, right? Like Jerry Rice, you always think of him. He never gets tired in the fourth quarter, et cetera. So I was looking for that, and it is amazing that Patrick Mahomes really doesn't get tired. I have no idea. He might be a robot. I'm not sure that's human, because the level of fatigue he doesn't experience is wild. And it was wild in 2020. It was wild in 2021, and it's wild in 2022 as well.
I feel like post-game there was a humble brag from Patrick Mahomes when he said that, how tough that game was. He said, I already texted my Bobby, my trainer, that I'm not coming in tomorrow morning. Bragger. You go and work out the day after a football game?
He's allowed to brag there. He can flex on all of us for that.
But,
yes,
you go in the day after a game and you work out that morning, take a day. I mean, I don't really want him to take a day off, but I'm just saying, that's kind of a humble brag if I told him I'm not even going to go work out tomorrow morning. You just played a football game.
I like it. He's allowed to brag. If you do that, you can brag too. I'm on it. I'm with you.
It's not for a lack of putting in the work for Patrick Mahomes. If you want to know why he's as good as he is, he works his tail off. And the play in which he did the spin move, little toss, shovel pass to Clyde Edwards-Helaire touchdown that we saw earlier this year, I didn't see it in the replay to where his ankle kind of got rolled up on. And he said, after the game or maybe later on that, he said, he felt his ankle do that. And he goes, well, luckily we've been doing all those ankle exercises with Bobby and some of those things. I'm like, so he's even doing exercises to extend his ankles just in case it gets rolled up on so he does not sprain it. How? How do you do those things? I don't know. I mean, whatever.
Listen, Bobby, congratulations, whoever you are. Good for you. You're really doing the right thing, because if it's working for Patrick, it'll probably work for a lot of other people too. I would
guess. I would certainly guess that. Cynthia Frelund, NFL Network analytics expert. What do you make of the Jaguars? They come in this weekend. It's a noon game for the Chiefs, and This feels like a trap game. It feels like you just played a tough, hard-nosed, physical game where even Patrick Mahomes took a day off after it was over to get that win. The Chargers have just been flexed to Sunday night the next week, and you got a 3-6-1 team or whatever it is coming into Kansas City and playing at noon. That 3-6 team that they're coming in playing at noon, and what's not as good as what you think the Chargers or the Titans are. This feels like a trap game.
I get it, but I don't think it'll end up being a trap. I mean, when you look to see Travis Etienne has actually really become a force. Like he's done a really nice job. His yards, we have to give him credit where credit's due, and he's running strong and hard, averaging almost 6 yards per carry. Like he is out there doing the thing for the Jags, and that's kind of been their thing. And last game was the first time, and by the way, it was against the Raiders O-line, that we saw real pressure actually kind of happen for them. So that's not a huge ringing endorsement for that pressure is going to be something that they're now now we're seeing back to Jacksonville. It's not in what I forecast for that, right? So I just think that this is a team that in Jacksonville that's young, up and coming. They've got some questions to figure out. They obviously Trevor Lawrence. They got to figure out what's going on with him. And I think this is one where they're going to try to really rely on Travis Etienne and make sure that they're doing the things to keep Trevor Lawrence from turning the ball over and, seeing if he can keep that clutch gene going for him. He's got the good hair gene, that's for sure. But other than that, and this defense is not one that particularly scares me. Again, I'm not insulting them. They've come a long way, but they had a long way to come from.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Do you have a score or a margin that is coming up in some of the models?
Yeah, I think I have a 10-point win. I think it's the one. I think it's 31-21 is what I saw in this matchup. But I do think this is a good game for the Chiefs to figure out a little bit more in the run game and figure out how to solidify, which areas in this run blocking schemes to make sure that the running backs are not, are able to be reliable. So it's not always Patrick having to have his ankles potentially be rolled up on. Maybe Bobby can start working with the other guys too to make sure their ankles are good.
Let's see if that's the case. Cynthia Frelund, NFL Network analytics expert. Cynthia, thank you so much as always. I appreciate it. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about the running game and the lack thereof, but certainly we can do that next week coming off that Jags game, getting ready for the Chargers. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it. Enjoy the football.
Have a great day.
Absolutely. There is Cynthia Frelund, NFL Network analytics expert. 31-21. She's got the Chiefs winning. We'll see. 3-6, 6-2. The matchup this weekend at noon. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling later on this hour. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. We'll still get sad fans from Reddit and Mick Shaffer still to come on a Wednesday.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
You know what makes me nervous about today's show?
Where do we begin?
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Thank you to Cynthia Frelund in the previous segment. Clutch Gene. Not Gene Segura. Which is a great nickname, by the way. Because he has been pretty clutch throughout, especially this season with the Phillies, but great nickname. 913-912-4810. We got sad fans from Reddit coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Looking forward to that. We'll hear from Andy Reid. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes. We will hear from Trent McDuffie and maybe McCole Hardman. So that should be fun.
I remain a little bit surprised that in Fact or Fiction yesterday, that was such a unanimous sweep of the board that everyone was on the same page that McCole Hardman is the new number 3 option on this offense right now behind Kelsey and Juju. But we were all on the same page there, and I wonder if maybe we are more attuned to that than the average sort of Chiefs fan, because maybe I am just seeing people be more critical of McCole Hardman on Twitter. Maybe that's just a Chiefs Twitter issue, but I feel like he's been underrated. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we came into this season, I was saying that McCole Hardman's been underrated as a wide receiver, that, you know, what he's done from what he's been asked to do. I mean, he wasn't a top 15 pick.
Right.
He was a second-round pick. Now, yes, they traded up to get him and traded ahead of DK Metcalf and all the stuff that's been talked about. Also, the circumstances surrounding why they did that at that time.
Yep.
And the issue of, you know, have the Chiefs developed McCole Hardman? I don't know. If McCole Hardman's on a different team, do we know who McCole Hardman is? Like, honestly, like if the Chiefs take Paris Campbell and McCole Hardman's taken by the Colts, are the two names switched? And Paris Campbell is the guy that might get a crazy amount of money this offseason because the speed that he has and the way the Chiefs have used him in punt returns. And McCole Hardman's a guy that, you know, is with the Colts and it's been okay. Thank God they got Michael Pittman, though, because, you know, he's a good receiver. They finally have that good receiver. Well, I thought they had Paris Campbell. I mean, he's been injured. He's battled some injuries and things like that. He's actually been good the last few weeks, so it makes it less of a driven home point, you know, because especially for fantasy footballers that he's had some good games. But over the course of their careers, Paris Campbell was somebody that I actually wanted the Chiefs to draft. I thought when you talk about if they're going to get somebody with speed that's going to be different from Tyreek Hill doing all these different things, but somebody just say, hey, let's take the top off the defense with this guy and Tyreek does all these other things for us, I would have taken Paris Campbell. They took McCole Hardman. Only knew of McCole Hardman through Missouri v. Georgia, but didn't know much about him. To me, they may have maximized what McCole Hardman is as a wide receiver. That maybe another team he's not nearly this good, and he doesn't get the pay, you know, the payday he's going to get this offseason if he's on a different team. I don't know.
I wonder if he's like Rondale Moore, different draft classes now, but I was just kind of poking around trying to find a decent comparison. Maybe in a best case scenario, he's DJ Moore. I don't know. But in terms of those just like speedy guys who you want to find ways to create opportunities for them to get the ball in their hands, but you would rather do that in the Chiefs offense than just about any other offense in football. You'll take a Shanahan tree offense or an Andy Reid tree offense and try to get your best tools out there. And Hardman really has seeing people get more up to speed on him being able to do that this year makes me happy for him.
The issues for Hardman, DK Metcalf, how good he was. The Chiefs looking for that outside receiver and saying, well, they got Hardman. Boy, DK Metcalf would look pretty good in this offense. Okay, so that sucks. The constant, what feels like constant issues between he and Mahomes on the field throughout the first 3 years of his career and not being on the same page. And then not this summer, but the summer of 2021 when he said that he and Mahomes just never were in the same vicinity as to why they didn't work out, you know, that summer.
I just think the shadow of Tyreek Hill is being compared to him forever is just
all that
hard thing to do. All that plays together.
And it all worked against him. This summer, he's down in Dallas. There's no complaints. There's no issues about what's he doing, and he's played his role on this offense. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
You're in the Zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, Andy Reid out at the practice facility right now.
Into what he's teaching, and Mike Caldwell, the defensive coordinator, was one of my ex-players and coaches, and he's got a system, great system there. Bob Sutton's working with him, and you can see his influence too in there. And Mike McCoy is the quarterback coach, and Mike and I go way back. He's a University of Utah guy, and I'm a BYU guy, and he's wearing blue, and I'm wearing red. I mean, there's something wrong there. So, but anyways, that they're well coached, and they've got, they've got good players. These guys play very hard. So our guys have got to have a good week of practice. It's important that we focus in on the things we need to get better at, and there are plenty of those things that we can work on, and so that's what we're going to do. Anyways, with that time.
For your offensive guys, maybe particularly the offensive line, after you have so many plays and dropbacks on Sunday night, do you do anything differently as far as the recovery and trying to get those guys some rest and ready for this week?
Yeah, so we're using our mid-season practices. So today's a lighter day, so they get to recover a little bit, and that'll help them. But we just started that, so it just happened to fall on a game where you had 100 snaps.
Andy, what did you see from Trent McDuffie in his first game back?
I thought he made some nice plays. He was in good position. His ability to go up through the receiver but not interfere with him, I thought was big, and get hands on ball, I thought that was big. So, and he tackled, so he was in position to tackle, and they did a nice job there.
Last week you had an opportunity to watch Lucas Niang in his return to practice. Where is he at in the recovery at this point?
He's working very hard and making progress. He's not there yet, but he's working at it.
And there's been a couple games now where Isaiah's been the RB1. What have you seen from him?
Yeah, he's doing a good job there. He's learning on the move, but he's had some good snaps. It's worked out well where the Clyde's getting reps and he's getting reps, and I think that's healthy. We're being able to throw fastballs at the guys, and then one is getting in there and doing his thing, more on third down, but he got some first and second down calls also. But we'll just keep bringing him along, and I like the progress he's making.
Is he where you want him to be right now?
Yeah, I mean, yes, he's there. He didn't have a ton of opportunities this last game, but he had a couple nice carries. Yeah.
Andy, how would you obviously last game you played a really good defensive front with the Titans, so not just specific to that game, but overall, how would you just assess the running game and where it is right now?
Yeah, so we can do better. I mean, I can do better, and when you make the call, what you're calling at that time. So, and then we played against a pretty good defensive line, so it's been a hit and a miss. So we've won some and they've won some, and and then obviously you come out with 500 yards of total offense, you go, you're doing something wrong. We got to get rid of the mistakes so you score points. You have 500 yards and 20 points that's not where you want to be, right? So. And time of possession was like really skewed, and all those things you gotta score points, which is the name of the game. But if the run game, if they've got good guys in there and you're struggling there, I mean, we know we can throw it, so that's a plus.
With the quarterback as talented as Patrick, have you found ways as he's developed to coach him to actually be better when he is outside the pocket, when he is scrambling? Are there things that you sort of notice that you guys from the coaching staff have given him and that he's actually applied on the field?
Yeah, no, I mean, we know he's good outside the pocket. He's been that way before we got him here, so he was at college. But we've given him things that we can call to get him outside the pocket, and then naturally he's going to do that within the pass game, so somewhere, and extend the play. But we do have things in the offense that we've put in, trying to utilize that talent that he has, and he's made some big plays with some of those plays. Yeah.
To follow up, Andy, I'm sure I'm asking if it's, I guess, a different feeling when he does scramble out of the pocket now versus 2018 when it was new for everybody, including you.
Well, I trust him. I saw enough of his tape in college to know that he wasn't just firing things in there to fire them in. He's got pretty good decision making once he's out there. I'm good with it. I'm more comfortable that he knows the offense better now than he did then. So, and I think his decision making is probably better now than it was then, just by reps.
You were able to get Kadarius in for 9 plays last game. Fair to say, reasonable to say this will tick up as the weeks go.
Yeah, we wanted to get him 10 or so reps and just kind of get him going a little bit. He'll get more as we go here. I'll see how he does this week. But.
Coach, on the number of passes, when you're in a game like the first Sunday night, you probably feel like you're throwing the ball a lot. Did it feel like 68? Or when do you kind of get that feel when you're in a game, kind of when you're trying to get that mix that you like?
Yeah, I knew we had a lot of plays, period, and Frazier gives me a heads up on all those things. So during the game, but we were going to do what we needed to do to try to win the game, is what we felt. So that's how we went about it. I mean, if the run game would have been going, we would have done more of the run game, but. The pass game going there a little bit. There was a stall in the middle, and then we picked it up after that. But, you're in a game, and you're sitting there trying to score touchdowns. Yeah.
On the Jags, you mentioned on the Zoom on Monday and a little bit today, it looks like they bought into what Doug's doing. What sort of things do you see on tape when you look at them that shows you that they kind of have that belief? And what's the kind of the danger factor with this team that they finally won one of those close games last week and maybe won one later?
Yeah, sure. No, they're our guys can see it on tape. Even the games that they've lost just by a few points. So, a score. So they, you see their excitement. Even in games that they've lost, when they make a play, they're excited. You saw it with the Tennessee bunch, supporting each other. I mean, there's normally a belief in that that comes with that. So, that's how Doug's crew is. You can tell they like what they're getting scheme wise, and they're playing fast. There's nobody hanging their head, no poor body language. They're excited when a good play happens.
Andy, counting sacks and scrambles and penalties that were called back, where the play was called back. Pat probably dropped back more than 80 times the other night. Pretty big burden. But I'm guessing you're really happy with how he handled that. Do you think he could have done that maybe earlier in his career, or is this kind of a veteran Pat handling it that way, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, I thought he stayed strong through it. I would tell you, he did that kind of stuff in college.
Yeah.
So I've seen him do it. He probably would have. The thing he knows the offense better now. I mean, that would be the difference. So he knows where to go with the ball when he gets into trouble there.
Coach, you may be aware you are top 5 in a poll of the most handsome coaches in the NFL.
That's what I'm talking
about. Did they underrate you?
I was wondering why I wasn't first. Gotta get more redheads out there to have to vote.
Brian Dable beat you at number 2.
Well, that says it all, right?
We good?
All right.
All right, so there you go. There's Andy Reid, 4th most handsome NFL coach of 2022, according to Beauty Technology Analysis. There you go.
Mount Rushmore. I mean, when I saw that he was 4th on that list, I was pretty confident and pretty hopeful that someone would ask about it. Andy Reid's wondering why he's not first. That's a good response. I knew the response would be good, whatever it was.
Love it. That's great. McCole Hardman, abdominal soreness. And Lucas Niang is making progress. Still not there, but getting better. And other parts of that press conference with Andy Reid outside of the beauty that he displays. Here's Patrick Mahomes.
4th of the best-looking coaches in the NFL. What do you think about that?
I think he should be higher, man. That's a good-looking gentleman out there. So he's got some swag to him, too, so you get the personality to match.
You get so many pass attempts last week. I know you're used to it, right? You've done that a lot in college. But do you do anything with your arm? Take a little time off? You're going to pitch count during practice? What sort of things are you doing with your arm these days?
I don't. Ever since I've been young, I haven't really got sore, even when I pitched when I was younger. So usually just the normal stuff. I mean, we do different stuff that I do with my trainers and stuff like that. But other than that, I just try to keep that arm strength up and keep rolling.
When you face a former coach like a Doug Peterson, who knows you very well, how do you prepare knowing that they know a lot of things that helps you get to where you are?
Yeah, I have to ask because I actually wasn't here with Doug, so he got here he left right before I got here, and so I knew a lot of people that knew him and talked very highly of him, how great of a coach he was, and so I have to kind of go back and ask sometimes, like, hey, on this check, does he know like what this check means and stuff like that, so that we can change the code words, we can change stuff up, so that he doesn't have any intel on the stuff we're trying to get done.
Patrick, when you do throw that many times in a game, late in the game, do you feel like what you're seeing from the defense that they pretty much expect to passes coming pretty regularly?
Not necessarily. I think we still do a good job of trying to mix it up, and obviously that game got a little out of hand as far as throwing the ball a little bit more than we wanted to as compared to running it, but it called for that, and to be able to do both, I think you've seen in games we've been able to run the ball a lot in some games, and then obviously there's games where you have to throw the ball. It's something that you have to do as an offense in order to succeed in this league, is being able to do both, and that's something that I think we can do in this team.
When you said that the game called for that, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, just the way that their team's built. Their D-line's a very good defensive line, especially against the run. They do a good job of being in the right gaps. Linebackers fly up and make plays, and so that day they had a good game plan for our run game, so we had to kind of use those shorter passes to kind of get those yards. And so that's just being able to be diverse as an offense. And I think the only thing next is we got to score some of those drives that we were kind of getting those yards, and that's something that we missed out on this last week.
Patrick, a pretty big workload for you the other night. I'm imagining that's pretty exhausting, not only physically but mentally. How do you feel you handled that, and do you feel like you could have handled that kind of load early in your career, maybe your first year as a starter?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it. I mean, you don't know because you never have done it before, but at the same time, I feel like I could have. I went out there and competed. I think I did a good job of doing what it took to kind of stay patient, even though stuff wasn't going our way, which is something I don't know if I could have done when I was younger in my career. I might have forced the issue a little bit more. But Coach Reid trusted me and trusting our offense to figure it out, and he kept calling plays and getting us into the right plays at the right time so that we were able to make it happen there at the end.
You guys were able to win the game. You were able to convert. But as you looked at your film, were you happy with all the decisions that you made to scramble, or did you sense, okay, maybe I could have did this?
I mean, there was definitely some decisions that I missed some throws that were out there. I think there was one time where it was going towards the other end zone. We didn't score in that. I thought I had McCole, and I kind of predetermined basically the cover two shell that he wasn't going to be open. And then there's the one down the middle of the field that I missed McCole, which I thought he was kind of getting in and out, and they somehow dropped him. And it's like another one you just predetermine. You think they're going to be in the right position, and then they don't end up being there. And so just trying to stay – when there's that many plays, you're going to miss throws. But whenever they're touchdown throws, you want to make sure you hit them. So I'm trying to go back and make sure I hit them whenever they're there.
Hey, Patrick, the last couple games, Isaiah was promoted to start. What are you seeing from him?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy who's going to continue to go out there and put his best effort, put his best step forward. And he's someone that plays hard. He runs the ball hard. But in this offense, I mean, you've seen him in the receiving room. You've seen the running back room, tight end room, other than Travis. It's going to be a different guy every week. And I think just having Isaiah out there, I mean, he's going to be that physical runner, can really gain those extra yards, fall forward. But then when you throw in guys like Clyde and Jet, all these guys, they're ready to go. It keeps those guys fresh, and it keeps them ready to go whenever their number's called during the game.
And he's a young guy, but can you see him progressing?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he's so physically gifted. He's so fast that sometimes you're like, man, you got to just take that extra step, then hit it. But you don't want to take that aggressiveness away from him because it's hard for defenses to account for is how physical he runs. But I think as he sees more and more in this league, he's going to the sky's the limit because he has all the physical tools to go out there and be great.
Hey, Patrick, 4th and 1 in overtime. You guys got timed out. You went and talked to Andy and Eric. Was that a talk about should you go for it, or was that a talk about play call you like? I just wanted that conversation.
Yeah, it was more play call. I think we figured we were going to go for it. We not only thought we were going to get it, but we trusted how our defense was playing. If we didn't get it, they could get us the ball back, and we could maybe get back in field goal range again. But we wanted to get to the perfect play call, and they actually did a pretty good job of covering the front side read of that play. But once that linebacker, that whole player, kind of pushed over towards Travis, I knew Juju was one-on-one on that backside. So just trusting in your guys to make plays, and Juju ran a good route, caught the ball, and got the first down.
They were asking you questions. Did you suggest that one, or is that one on your mind?
Yeah, that was one that we had talked about. So we had kind of talked about before going into the last drive. We got put in a situation where we needed one play. What were we thinking? And we had like a list of 3, and we were going to see how the defense was playing and how the defense was playing. That was one of the plays that we had talked about, and I said that's the one I wanted to go with. And coaches, they trusted me and the guys to go out there and make a play happen in a big moment in the game.
Patrick, a lot of fans, people outside the building will probably look and see the Jags coming in and think this isn't a very good team. This should be an easy win. What's the danger factor with this team, and how, it's the NFL, you can't overlook people, but is this one of those games you can sneak up on you a little bit if you don't watch yourself?
No, I mean, it's not going to sneak up on you. I mean, if you look at the tape, I mean, the players that they have out there are really legit players. I mean, they're young, but they're fast, they're physical, they're big, they fly around to the ball, they play with confidence, and so we have a ton of respect for this team coming in. And if you see them, even the games they've lost, they've been in them, and they've made a mistake here and there that's cost them a game, but if you watch the tape, it doesn't show what their record looks like, and I think guys understand that it's going to be a heck of a football game, and we're going to have to play our best football in order to win.
Coming from a quarterback perspective, Trevor Lawrence, I mean, what are you seeing are the biggest threats that come from him?
Yeah, he's super talented. I mean, just kind of like a lot of guys on their team. I mean, he's young, so he's made mistakes, but I think you see the talent week in and week out. He makes a lot of big-time throws. He can run the ball better than people think. And he's someone that's won on every level he's been at. So you can see, I mean, they've kind of turned this around pretty quickly here. I mean, they haven't won the games, but you can tell the team has gotten a lot better over this last year. And so we understand that it's going to be a great challenge for us, both sides of the ball, and that we're going to play a great game in order to win.
What are the challenges that go with Josh Allen specifically, and then what he brings to the table?
Yeah, I mean, he's so gifted as a pass rusher, but also he's athletic enough to drop into coverage, and you don't see a lot of guys like that. But he's obviously he's a big physical guy, but he's fast. He does a good job with his hands and getting off blocks. And so they kind of have guys like that on both sides of the ball with Walker there now as well. So it'll be a great challenge for our guys to have on that whole entire defensive line. And it seems like week in and week out we're playing a great defensive line. So our offensive line is battling. I thought they did a great job this last week, and I think we can hopefully carry that momentum into this next week.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. Thanks.
Boy, you want to talk about a one-track mind. He says, what do you think of Josh Allen, how he's playing? Like, oh, wow. And they're talking about Josh Allen. If he's injured, like, oh, yeah, Josh Allen to the Jags. Yeah, he's playing well. Pretty good guy.
I was hoping Mahomes, it's incredible that he's able to play for 2 teams at the same time.
It's really difficult. People got confused when the Jags played the Bills and Josh Allen sacked Josh. That was a whole thing. So he was asked about, throw the ball 68 times. Do you do anything different the next day or anything? No, I've never really had soreness in my arm, even after pitching. I mean, he might be a robot. Here's Trent McDuffie.
Was having to go out early, and can you just talk about your weight and the way that you worked with that?
Yeah, I mean, going out the first game's always pretty frustrating and pretty disheartening because, you have all these goals and you have this plan that you set in place, and it doesn't go that way. But I was able to kind of just take a step back, work really well with the trainers, work really well with the coaches, and kind of set this system where it was almost like I was going to play every week, but then just sit out the game. So I kind of kept this system of let's just keep this going so that when I did come back, it wasn't anything short of just what I was already doing. So just creating a system and just being able to stick to that, staying disciplined was the biggest thing for me to be able to come back the way I am now.
What do you think was most valuable part of trying to stay disciplined during that time?
Honestly, I think it was patience. I was always, trying to come back quick, but my body said not yet. So being patient and finally just listening to my body, listening to my support system, my family, and just hearing everybody just tell me, it's okay to take your time. It's okay to really let it heal because it is a long season and I do have to look towards the future. So I think a big part of it was just the patience and just saying, okay, yeah, let me just keep working on it and not try to just fight back so much and end up re-injuring it.
Did you know that you were back to practice? Were you fighting to play, and did they have to back you off, or were you just sort of following?
It was a little bit of both. It was more like going to practice if I can play, let me go out there and do it. But, as it played out, I wasn't ready, which is okay to me because I am here now, and I feel like my leg is definitely 100% healed.
After you got those live reps, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I think honestly a big thing was just the confidence. Going back, you always like, you can't really get a traditional game-like rep until you really do it. So being able to go out here and play the full game and just being confident and knowing my teammates trust me now and that I still am sharp with it was big for me.
Was this the first injury like that you've had?
Yeah, actually it is, like at least the longest that I've had to sit out. So working through that was a little different, and I mean, it was a learning process for me, just how to maneuver through things and how to focus and not just sit back and say, okay, I'm injured, let me just pout. You know, really trying to stay focused and really try to stay on top of everything, even though I'm not playing, which was tough. But
What stands out about Trevor Lawrence when you watch him on video?
yeah, I mean, he has a strong arm. You know, he's somebody who can put the ball anywhere. He's really good in the pocket. He's pretty elusive, so, you know, you just have to bring him down. He's one of those guys who, you know, he might not slide. You know, he might run through the contact to get a few extra yards. So just being conscious of that and just knowing that we got to just move him off the spot and be able to make plays when they come to us.
Trent, where you play on the outside, you don't often get matched up one-on-one with tight end. Can you just kind of walk us through that play?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I break down everybody before the game, so, you know, I know their strengths, weaknesses, whatnot. So when Hooper came on me, I mean, I kind of knew what he was doing. I knew the kind of routes that he was going to run. You know, tight end's not going to run every route a receiver does. So kind of limiting him to the certain routes I thought he was going to do, and then honestly just using my speed. I mean, he's bigger than me, so I have to make up for it with my athleticism and my speed and just knowing how to play DB. So that's what I focused on, and that's how I was able to make the play.
Trent, what are you most satisfied with in the performance on Sunday, and what information can you take from that game now that you've had a full NFL game?
I think a big thing for me, honestly, was just make sure I went out there and just did my job correctly. You know, I haven't been with the team, you know, I haven't been in the lingo, in actual game rep practices, so being able to go out there and just be sharp with it, you know, make all the correct calls, make sure everybody was doing everything correct was, for me, good, because, you know, I haven't had that, like I said. And on top of that, I think just going back to learn from just little things in my technique, hand placement, thing like that as a DB, but I think the overall is just being able to just leave my all out there. I always say I wanted to be that flash player and make every play like it's my last, so just being able to do that consistently for however many plays you do is going to be something I'm big at.
Trent, when you were down, what did it mean to you to see Jalen emerge the way he did?
Yeah, I mean, it's always huge when you can see another rookie, you know, who's come in, who's gone through the same process as you, go out there and make plays in a big stage. I mean, we're always together. We're in the same room. So, I mean, I had confidence in him. I had confidence in Josh Williams. Like, anybody goes out there, we're all in the same room. We all hear the same lingo. We all talk the same thing. So there's a big confidence in knowing that, yeah, even if I go down, if somebody else goes down, the next person up is going to be able to do their job.
Trent, what was your reaction to the Fenton trade, and how much did you see the club then putting their faith in you when your body was ready?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a disappointment seeing somebody go. We always called him Uncle Fent because it was like just that dude who, you know, taught all the DBs, and it was just Uncle out there. So he was one of those dudes who I looked up to, who really taught me this system, how to play DB in here. So seeing him leave, it was disappointing, but I mean, I know he's going to do great over there in Atlanta, and I'm excited for his journey. But I mean, it comes back to us and just seeing the coaches have full faith in the rookies and just knowing that we got to go out there and now we got to produce. You know, we got to give them the same way that they look at us, we got to give it back to them. You know, we got to make sure that we're accountable and that they can trust us out there each and every play.
Trent, when you got drafted, Trent, that you started envisioning playing in Arrowhead,
yeah,
maybe in prime time settings like Sunday.
Yeah.
How much did reality match or different from what you had envisioned?
Yeah, I mean, I was able to be on the sideline, thankfully, during some of those big games, like the Chargers game and the Raiders game. So I knew the crowd was loud. You know, I'd be on the sideline. I couldn't talk to my friend on the sideline. So being on the field, I already went in knowing that I wasn't going to be able to hear anybody. So, I mean, it's just so much. I feel like it just brings so much more energy to the game when the crowd is like that. So just being able to go out there and play in front of them finally and just complete a full game was really fun for me.
Last question. Expanding on that a little more, just from the standpoint of being in a game like that, a battle testing, a very physical game that could have gone any which way, seeing your Chiefs and how they responded, what they did, as a young player, I mean, did that just give you a new sense of pride? Did that give you a new, I'm going to step up because this is the way they do this and they're successful? What was going through you when you saw what your team overall could do?
Yeah, I think honestly, even just coming in here right after the draft, you kind of understood that there was a standard that was set. And I mean, through the season, ups and downs, you kind of understand that everybody kept that standard. But now playing in it, being a part of it, seeing how people are, the emotions running high, everybody kind of just locking in, just taking a step back and going, let's just do our job. For me, it was almost relieving. It was like, as a young dude who doesn't know anything, hasn't played in an overtime game in the NFL, just seeing the guys relaxed, composed, helped me to stay that way. And so, big thanks to them for the leaders on our team to kind of just rally everybody together. That really showed me that our team is really tight bonded and, really sticking together. So it was awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you all.
All right, there's Trent McDuffie. First game back. Looked good. Not a passing offense, but certainly looked good out there. We'll see what he does this weekend against the Jags. Christian Kirk, Zay Jones. Again, not Devontae Adams out there, and some of the receivers they may go up against in the playoffs, but we'll see what McDuffie can do in game number 2, coming back from that injury, in which he said was the longest he's ever had to sit out from an injury. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling more Zone next on a Wednesday.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Why are you getting things wrong, Jason?
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson, Josh Brisco, Beards. We head up until 2 o'clock. 1 o'clock, we've got Sad Fans from Reddit. Beards has that. Titans edition. Mick Shaffer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour as well. Shot clock reviews. We will also get an update on the zone over-unders. A, air quotes, split at halftime of the Jags game.
That would have been inconvenient.
Would have been odd.
Just would have had to have all gotten in here and hey,
quick podcast,
10-minute version of the zone,
hey guys.
Halftime
about 1:30. All right, let's do an updated of the ZOUs, guys, real quick. Let's go. Here we go. All right, second half of the Chiefs coming up against the Jags. Nope, didn't want to do that, so we went ahead and did it. Going to do it today. 913-912-4810. So Andy Reid talking, Patrick Mahomes talking, and also Trent McDuffie, but no McCole Hardman. He was scheduled to talk today, but has abdominal soreness. Does not have an abdominal soreness, but has abdominal soreness. Other injury part of it, Lucas Niang making progress, still not there. He said, Andy Reid has done this before when asked about the running game. The first thing he says is, well, I can call better plays. Mm-hmm. Putting guys in a better position to succeed, and, I can do better, and the calls have to be a certain thing. We look at that and try to be better with that. He's always going to first look internally before saying it's an offensive line thing or if it's a running back thing. We know that. While there have been some times that he's given little crumbs, little Easter eggs of what he may feel about an offensive line, when it was something to the degree leading into the Bucs game, something along the lines of that we've got to be better, or we've got to clean some stuff up, something like that. I'll go back and look at the press conference notes from that.
Clean some stuff up is a good one.
But it essentially was that, and we talked about it at the time. Was like, well, that's kind of Andy Reid saying and challenging like the offensive line. You guys got to do better. Like, he can talk about the calls that he makes a lot, but you guys got to do better. I don't know how often he can go to the well like that. If it's all right, I did it before the Bucs game. I can't then next time we have a bad running game say, well, offensive line, and we got to do some things better. We got to clean some things up. We can't we got to execute better. Or if it's just he may have looked at this one and said, certain down and distance situations, I could have been better. And some of the calls we made, maybe looking at that, could have gone here, could have resulted in a better play, maybe not all on the offensive line. Or just simply saying, like, yeah, I'm not going to talk about the offensive line because that defensive front was really good. And we threw the ball 68 times, so we really didn't get into a consistent kind of run game where there was any cohesion between the offensive line and the running backs and what the offensive linemen were able to do when they were springing out and just going and blocking as opposed to dropping back in their pass set so often. I don't know.
I'm willing to give a little bit of credit to that, right? But I think it's probably a very little bit of credit because there can be some chicken or the egg of, hey, well, once you get into a groove, you find the hot hand, et cetera, et cetera. Some of those kind of conventional wisdom, little turns of phrase. You could convince me that, hey, run blocking gets better as the game goes on, as offensive linemen figure out what they're doing and running backs figure out what they're looking at in a defense and everything. There's something to that. But if you have to have 15 carries before your running game becomes competent, you're not ever going to reach that watermark because 15 unsuccessful handoffs to start your running game for the week is a horrible way to literally and figuratively put yourself behind the sticks. That is not sustainable. They have to be more efficient earlier on. I mean, I think that is the bare minimum for this running game.
Yeah. It may or may not be running back.
Right.
Like I was perfectly fine seeing Pacheco get some more carries, get the start. Okay. If that's the case, then hey, what's best for the Chiefs? If it's Pacheco, if it's Jerick McKinnon, if it's Edwards-Helaire, if it's Ronald Jones, great. It could still be the running back. Maybe Ronald Jones is the difference in the running game, and they aren't willing to sacrifice some of the other things that you may lose with Ronald Jones as opposed to being consistent running the football. But I don't know if it's a matter of accepting reality, and this is simply what the Chiefs are going to be in running the ball. They're going to be inconsistent all year, and there may be some games where they are awesome running the football, and if that's the point, then good luck defense. And there may be some games where it's going to be a struggle, and it's going to be pulling teeth, and they are going to just have to rely solely on Patrick Mahomes, which there are much worse things in the world to have to rely solely on. But it's just reality of it's going to be a give and take. There's not going to be any consistency to it. I feel like halfway through the season, they've played enough teams and different styles of defenses that I'm just going to accept that there are games when they're not going to be able to run the ball, and there are games when they are, and they're going to keep trying to do it for the most part. And if they are admitting we don't have it tonight, they're going to drop back 78 times. And Mahomes is going to be sacked 4 times and run 6 times and throw the ball 68 times.
The place where I am finding myself unwilling to accept it is not at the running back position or at the coaching staff, but it is on this offensive line. Where, again, I know that maybe you want to say, do it a little more and they'll get into their groove, whatever. Not even that I'm blaming the line, but if you are spending this much money on the offensive line, it's not like this is a big finesse group. Like the Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz tackle duo, that made sense to say, hey, we're a pass blocking first team because that's what those guys do the best. Obviously, they could both run block in their own right. But this team drafted Creed Humphrey in the middle, Trey Smith to his right, Joe Tooney to his left. Andrew Wiley isn't a huge bruiser for a right tackle, but he was a guard at first. He is certainly run blocking capable, as is Orlando Brown Jr. He's not the guy you necessarily want to have pulling all the time, but if you can get him in a run block situation, you absolutely expect all 5 of those guys to, at minimum, hold their own. If that part of it has broken down, I'm confused and concerned.
Yeah.
If that part hasn't broken down, I might be more confused and more concerned because I have now lost my ability to kind of pinpoint where this might come down to. So it is a puzzling issue because I do think it's a complicated one. I think there are multiple factors at play, but it means that the solution is not going to be any simpler than the problem.
It's different run scheme. It's different offensive linemen. It's different teams they've gone up against. It's different offensive overall style. But it is going to be annoying on Sunday if ATN comes in and runs for 100 yards and a touchdown and makes it 4 straight games that he's had 100 yards and a touchdown and shows the vision and the burst and the sliding through tackles, running to daylight that he's shown in the last 3 weeks when they said we're trading James Robinson because we are going to hand over the reins to Travis Etienne because he is the guy that we drafted. It will be annoying to see that while also knowing that the first-round draft pick on the Chiefs side is not even starting anymore for the 7th rounder in Isaiah Pacheco.
What did James Robinson get traded for before the deadline? Wasn't it like a 6th round? It was a day 3 pick, I believe.
Oh, it was definitely a day 3 pick.
He was an undrafted free agent. I mean,
yeah. Now, it's an undrafted free agent versus a first-rounder. I get it. And I'm not saying, well, they should take a first-rounder. What I'm saying is just simply comparing that specific in this game at noon at Arrowhead when there are 2 first-round running backs on the field, and one at least looks like that.
It was a conditional 6th for James Robinson.
One at least looks like, okay, yeah, I can see why I wouldn't do it, but I could see
some
why.
standout traits, absolutely, and then the production actually arrives. No, I'm with you on that. I just kind of there are a lot of ways that this group could be better than it currently is. It does seem like I can't remember who. I don't know. This was a whole Twitter conversation, so I don't know who I'm plagiarizing from this time. but it is kind of interesting. This time. I'm on Twitter too much to ever not be at least a little bit plagiarizing from Twitter, which is not a brag. It's a cry for help. But there was a conversation about, hey, you know what the Chiefs did when they needed a real running back? They went to Jerick McKinnon because they actually think that
I think Eric Eager may have said that.
That would have made sense.
That they're waiting.
Oh, I steal from Eager all the time. I don't feel bad about that at all.
Yeah, that they're sort of waiting till later in the season when they say, okay, Jerick, you're our running back. We've kept you healthy all season.
And even in more like clutch or high leverage situations, he's definitely their favorite pass blocker. That's obvious. he's definitely the best pass catcher and the best with the ball in his hands in space on this team. And frankly, what I hadn't really considered until revisiting the Titans game, he might actually be the answer to the best pure runner on this roster as well. And it's not an issue of a lack of the Chiefs wanting to use him in that role. It's a excess of the Chiefs wanting to use him in that role in January, in a playoff push. So all of that comes together for me to, again, though, just kind of create like what a weird world we're in, where Andy Reid historically has been so good at creating touches for running backs in space, in the passing game especially, where running backs have not individually mattered in this offense. Damian Williams was a godsend in a Super Bowl run, and they pulled him off a scrap heap in Miami. I mean, the idea that they can't find success in the running game on any sort of consistent basis right now, I know I'm using the same word over and over, but it is confusing as much as it's anything else, because it's kind of the outlier for the Chiefs.
Well, that goes to the confusion of the whole, conversation revisiting that about, first rounders, because it feels like Andy Reid, as much as people say, quarterback whisperer, Andy Reid's going to, I've always felt like he's a running back whisperer. Like he finds ways to get running backs that aren't really all that heralded and turns them into pretty productive players. Sharkandrick West.
Right.
Spencer Ware. I mean, obviously Jamal Charles was a stud, before he got there. But then you take a stud and you look what he does with a guy like Jamal Charles.
Yep.
But Spencer Ware, Sharkandrick West, third rounder in Kareem Hunt, who hasn't been nearly that in Cleveland. And I get it. Nick Chubb is there as well. Damian Williams, and also ran in Miami, is a big part of them winning a Super Bowl, and is the only 1 or 2 carries in the 2019 playoffs. In the 3 games they played against Houston, Tennessee, and San Francisco, I believe another running back got 1 or 2 carries the entire postseason. It was all Damian Williams. It was not by committee. And I think the one was Darwin Thompson at the goal line in the Super Bowl after the Rose Bowl, shift and pirouette.
Yeah.
They got the first down to the 1. They gave the ball to Darwin Thompson, no gain. Then they scored a touchdown. I think that may be the only touch by a running back not named Damian Williams in the playoffs. He went to his guy, who we think is the most effective here on this team, and that's who we're running. It's not a by committee, we're going to bring this guy in, we'll have this guy come in, and he'll spell him for a little bit. Injuries and all that stuff matter, but LaShawn McCoy was a healthy scratch, in the Super Bowl.
That was also, I stumbled upon this video again recently of Brett Veach trying to explain the Clyde pick at the time, and this is, tell you what, not revisionist, and no one should have to work very hard to go find proof that this is not revisionist.
For you.
I did not find that logic at all compelling at the time. I did not like the pick at the time, etc., whatever. Fine. But I think part of the logic was we want to have one running back who can be out there on first, second, and third down, where we can trust one guy to do everything, be the downhill runner, be the pass catcher, be the pass protector. They thought Clyde had a better chance of being that guy than a Jonathan Taylor type. So that logic, I do think, is reflected in what you just pulled there from the Super Bowl run with Damian Williams. By the end, they had LaShawn McCoy, and they made their Le'Veon Bell moves, and Spencer Ware was on that team at one point. You'll see guys in the committee, especially during the actual season. But when it comes down to it, Andy Reid has generally gone to a guy, or at least it seems like he's been most comfortable going to one individual guy. I'm starting to think that on this team it might be Jerick McKinnon by the end of the season, and that they have, in that way, found their small white flag to wave on the Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick, because I think they have now officially given up on that vision that he could be your every down guy, and now they're even trying to work Pacheco in to see if maybe he could fill that role. Certainly, if they want to try to keep McKinnon healthy.
So looking through here, handoffs. Darwin Thompson got 2 carries in that postseason run with the Texans, Titans, and 49ers. And Damian Williams got every other handoff to a running back, the other players to carry the football that got, rushing attempts, Tyreek, McColl, and Sammy Watkins.
Okay.
Those were the only people to carry the football in the postseason was Damian Williams, Tyreek, Sammy, McColl, and Darwin Thompson. And Tyreek got as many carries as Darwin Thompson did in the postseason. It was all Damian Williams. First, second, third down. Damian Williams, he went to his guy who he trusted. And by the way, he was damn good.
Yeah, he was.
I was perfectly fine with Damian Williams.
Yes.
Didn't know he was going to opt out.
Right.
Didn't know he was going to opt out that year. Chiefs didn't know that either. when maybe they did when they selected a running back. But, I don't even know that they had the rule at that time of you could opt out or not. But they took Edwards-Helaire, and that was a little more confusing of, man, I kind of feel like Damian Williams is a guy that I'd keep around for, a while, another couple, 3 years, because he looked pretty effective, and he felt like he fit this offense pretty good. But they went a different route. That's fine. Maybe it's Jerick McKinnon. Maybe it's Pacheco. Maybe it's Ronald Jones. Maybe it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But either way, they've got to figure it out, because I don't think it's a coincidence. I think there is a correlation from what we talked about yesterday with Adam Teicher and broke down just a little bit more outside of that as well, in that the 4 games where the Chiefs have scored 159 total points, that's against Arizona, Tampa Bay, Las Vegas, and San Francisco. They scored at least 30 in all of those games. They've averaged roughly 40 points per game in those 4 games. They've carried the ball at almost 5 yards per clip, 133 yards per game. Now, some of that is, you're winning, you run the ball. Totally acknowledge that. Absolutely. Chargers, Colts, Bills, Titans, they've scored 19 points a game, 77 total. They've carried the ball 74 yards per game and roughly 3.2 yards per carry. If you take away the Mahomes 60 yards and 6 carries against the Titans, which is not what we're talking about in terms of running the football, they're about 3.2 yards per carry in those 4 games. So it's not just a matter of, well, you're winning, you run the ball. Okay, but they were effective doing that.
Right.
They had a lead against the Colts.
Right.
They weren't trailing against the Colts the whole game. They were in the game against Buffalo. It was back and forth. So, they could have, run the football a little bit better. Against the Titans, it would have been nice for them to be able to run the football, but they couldn't, so they didn't. That wasn't well, you're trailing, so you're not going to run. Well, they didn't run because they couldn't.
Right.
In that game. If they could, they would have kept handing off and moving the ball, because I think that makes such a huge difference for what the defenses are doing, especially when a defense is saying we're dropping 7, we're rushing 4, or in fact what the Bengals did the second half against the Chiefs, dropping 8 and bringing 3, is being effective, because Tampa did that in the Super Bowl because they were able to get to Mahomes because of the offensive line. Tampa couldn't do that because the Chiefs rushed for, let me find the numbers here. Against Tampa, the Chiefs rushed for 189 yards at 5 yards a clip. You know what Tampa wasn't doing? Let's just hang out and make Mahomes throw everything underneath. Oh, cool. We're going to hand it off 37 times for almost 200 yards in this game, because that's the defense you're playing. And our offensive line was challenged, and they went out and answered the bell.
Yeah, it feels like a long time ago.
It does.
That conversation about the offensive line rebounding really feels like a long time ago. Now that the line was, I think the conversation around the O-line against Titans has maybe gotten a little bit out of hand. They had to drop back 70 times and lost a couple. That's reasonable. But the idea of we've talked about this more. I've talked about this more this season than in years past, because I've thought about it more this season than in years past. But the whole idea of football not just as like a chess game, but you want to be the second one to set up your pieces, right? Like, you want to try to get whatever advantage you can in terms of getting to play first or holding the pin last or whatever you're, the turn of phrase you want to use. The Chiefs, when they become one-dimensional, by meaning they're only throwing the ball, Patrick Mahomes and the passing game can still be multiply dimensional within itself, right? Affecting you at different depths of the field and all of those different things. The screen game can become kind of an extension of the running game, so it's not totally binary. But if you're at a point where not only the defense is adjusting to you, but where you can't make the defense readjust, that is a problem. I said this yesterday. I'll make this example forever, but I just think about it all the time. That Bills game early in the season, Clyde's rookie year, the Bills linebackers were literally backpedaling as the snap. Before the play action, before the snap, they were preparing, saying, hey, we will not let you beat us over the top. And so Clyde ran for like 7 yards per carry in that game, and the Chiefs were able to capitalize on that. If you can't make the defense think that you might run the football, they can play whatever they think is the best possible defense to match this pass-heavy offense.
That's all we're going to do.
It doesn't mean it's going to work, and for the Titans, it worked enough, but not enough. It worked enough to keep it close, but not enough to win it single-handedly. You just have to have at least a credible threat to be able to run the ball effectively, even if it's 5 or 10 times a game. Like 5 good runs a game would legitimately get it done for the Chiefs. There's a misconception that you have to run the ball well for the play action to be effective. That's not true. You just need linebackers these guys have been playing linebacker since they were 12. You need their eyes to see the ball go to the gut of the running back, and at that point, you have to be thinking you're going to fill because everything happens too fast. You need a credible threat to run the ball a few times to keep that in the defense's mind to readjust back to you. I think the Chiefs, we did this for Fact or Fiction, I think the Chiefs will reach that level again this year.
I'm hoping so.
But against the Titans, it was the most evident it's ever been that was not in their playbook in a metaphorical sense. And I don't know what the biggest fault in that chain is right now.
So as we go to break, we talked about that playoff run, and I just wanted to go back and put the numbers together for Damian Williams. In those 3 games, the rushing and receiving combined, not just targets, but actual just receptions. So rushing attempts and receptions in the 3 games, Damian Williams touched the ball 57 times. The next running back touched the ball twice. Darwin Thompson had 2 carries, no receptions. Damian Williams had 46 rushing attempts and 11 receptions. And Darwin Thompson ran the ball twice. He got his guy. He was effective. Ride it. Let him be. I think that's what Andy Reid prefers. Last year in the playoffs, it was Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah.
It was Jerick McKinnon at the end of the season, and then in the playoffs, this is the guy. Whether Edwards-Helaire was healthy or not, we're going with Jerick McKinnon, especially against the Bills. It was Jet, number 1. That's the guy. In the backfield, I think that's what Andy Reid prefers. I think part of this may be, let's figure out what we have in Pacheco, and as the season progresses, can he be that guy? And if not, you have it in Jerick McKinnon, and you're hoping that you would have had it in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Right. But if these guys are all splitting reps, maybe one of them is not just simply getting worn out and injured, but they're all still in the game, still going through the game plan, still getting touches, and remaining healthy towards the end of the season. So then you have your pick of the 3 as to who you feel like is the best once it comes playoff time to who you're going to ride. We'll see.
Recalibrating later in the season will be interesting. I have a feeling we'll have some version of this conversation every week through the rest of the year.
I hope not.
A little check-in. Hey, how are we feeling about the Chiefs running game? Maybe next week we'll feel a little better. Maybe the next week, maybe the next week.
Scale of 1 to 10. Where are you at? I'm 3.7.
I think right now, that performance in the running game against the Titans was like a straight-up 1. That is a 1 on a 1 to 10. It's at 13 carries for 14 yards, not getting it done. You know what? Clyde converting 1.5. Clyde converting on 4th and 1, we'll take that.
That was absolutely big.
That's it.
Took him 2 carries to get 1 yard. Sometimes that happens. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Eli Drinkwitz, 2-year extension. It was announced on Saturday. We talked a little bit about it in that, well, it feels like it's a recruiting thing. Yeah. Then you see the details, and I'm not sure it's a recruiting thing. We'll talk about that coming up next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810.
Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park is the only Volvo dealership in Kansas City. Save thousands on all remaining new 2022 Volvos. Rates are as low as 3.49% on all certified by Volvo 2019, 2020, and 2021 models. Don't wait, the deals are unbeatable, and now is the time to buy a new vehicle. Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park has the largest inventory of new 2023 Volvos in the Midwest. Just ask for Jimmy Loveland or Sean Weiss. Where luxury and safety meet, Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park at 78th and Metcalf or at PremierVolvoCarsOverlandPark.com. See dealer for details.
Get your game face on and play the Gridiron giveaway for a chance to win your share of up to $79,000 in Lucky Loot and prizes. Wednesdays in November, 7th Street Casino, Kansas City's only 24/7 all-slots casino.
When you need a battery, it's Wholesale Batteries. Since 1977, Wholesale Batteries is one of the largest full-line battery suppliers in the Midwest, serving commercial, industrial, OEM, and retail customers. Call 913-342-0113. Wholesale Batteries, we give you the power.
Hey folks, this is Nate Bucati, and I'm coming to you from the Pretzel Boys at 95th and Knoll, right on the southeast side of the intersection, where we're giving away free pretzels today and also signing up people for a chance to win a custom-made pretzel designed just for you. They can do a big football like the one they brought to our radio station today, or your company logo if you want to bring in catering for your big company party, or get ready for a big football watch party, whatever the case might be, Pretzel Boys can hook you up. They've got the little nuggets, they've got the big pretzel dogs, they've got homemade dips. I liked the nacho cheese dip the best, but the spicy mustard was pretty incredible as well. You can get all of that here at Pretzel Boys. For lunch or for catering, you got to check them out, and you can sign up to win free stuff right now if you come by until 1 o'clock today. Again, 95th and Knoll. Pretzel Boys is the place to be, courtesy of Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I'm Steve Hedgepeth with Quad Power Products. At Quad Power Products, people know us for excellent customer service for their hydraulic hoses, couplers, adapters, and accessories. We also offer hydraulic cylinder service, where besides resealing, we actually recondition your cylinder by honing and polishing all sealing surfaces. We also bench test each repair before handing it back to you, all of that with a full 1-year warranty. Come to Quad Power Products in South Kansas City on Hickman Mills Drive.
The second you walk through those iconic red doors, you know you're somewhere special. Fresh cut wood burning in the wood-fired grill and the sizzle of scratch kitchen ingredients fills your senses. Whether you want legendary pretzel bites, famous jalapeno fried chicken, or to grab a burger and beer while you watch the game, there's an unforgettable energy that keeps you coming back to Red Door Wood-Fired Grill, Kansas City's best little upscale neighborhood joint. 6 Kansas City area locations: Brookside, Leawood, Liberty, Overland Park, Lenexa, and now Lee Summit. Get in here.
For the ones who are always in the know.
Delivery confirmed.
For the ones who keep things running. For the innovators and the problem solvers. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, experienced staff at local branches, and free access to experts to help answer your toughest questions. So whatever challenge you face, we have the knowledge and products to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
People have lots of reasons for trying medical cannabis for chronic pain, anxiety, and hosts of other ailments. And in Missouri, many of these same people drive out of their way past multiple dispensaries to arrive at a special cannabis dispensary in Grandview, Relief Resources Dispensary. So why do so many patients come to Relief for relief? It starts with patient care. Our physician-trained patient care specialists bring so much more to your case than a typical dispensary bud tender. They're better able to match plant strains, terpene profiles, and lab results to your conditions. And with one of the largest product selections in the state, over 500 in stock, that best solution is always right there. Of course, medical decisions should not be based on advertising, and you should always consult a physician on the benefits and risks of particular medical marijuana products. Relief Resources Dispensary is open with extended hours, 7 days a week starting at 10 a.m. Relief Resources Dispensary on 71 Highway at 140th Street and online at reliefmo.com.
2000, 2008, 2022. When it comes to the economy, those are some scary years. .com crash, housing crash, and the roller coaster we're going through right now. It's a dangerous time to not know your numbers. But over 31,000 businesses have the confidence and clarity they need because they rely on NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud financial system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of financials, inventory, HR, planning, and budgeting. Manage risk, get reliable forecasts, improve margins. Everything you need all in one place. So, how do you prepare for uncertain times? The answer, NetSuite. NetSuite helps you identify rising costs, automate your business processes, and easily see where to save money. That's why 93% of customers say they improved their visibility and control when they upgraded to NetSuite. What are you waiting for? NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind flexible financing program. Head to netsuite.com/radar. netsuite.com/radar.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
And whoever bought the best snacks
on Sports Radio 810.
All right, hang out with Mick Shaffer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. But more than that, sad fans. Titans edition will be in the 1 o'clock hour. Shot clock reviews, update to the Chiefs ZOUs, the mid-season edition of that. A lot of movement. Let me just say, there was a lot of movement from the quarter of the way through the season to now. That there is some movement up and down the board of who's first, second, third, fourth in good position or not. So
I'm not thinking about it too hard. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm just the ones that I remember is I think Chris Jones' sacks has really fluctuated. Clyde rushing yards has really fluctuated. While Clyde touchdowns is going to be a blowout probably.
Well, I mean, he's
Been
still
a
going to
little
get
bit,
one
though.
more.
That's true.
He's got 6 at 6.5. I don't know that he's going to score. I'm not. I know that for the first 3 or 4 weeks it was Clyde Edwards anytime touchdown. Go ahead and bet that.
Yeah. He's gonna have 25 on the season.
I ain't putting money on Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score any individual week.
I would love to get will he score one more this year though. I would love to be able to find those odds. Yeah.
Over under 1/2. All right, so news came out on Saturday, and then the news for Eli Drinkwitz 2-year contract extension. My first reaction is, okay, so people are wondering, is Eli on the hot seat? You know, this is going to be a year in which they don't make a bowl game. He's recruiting well, but then you've got Luther Burden and what, he put out there. And then, of course, he goes and puts out the fire and says that, don't regret any decision. Mizzou through and through, all of that stuff. The complaints about Brady Cook, where to me the issue is not Brady Cook himself. The issue is that the best quarterback on Missouri, according to the head coach, is Brady Cook. Brady Cook is a backup, like he was last year, came in the bowl game, did what he did. You know what? Bazelak was transferring, and Brady Cook played, thought he played well. Awesome, because he was viewed as a backup. The second he's the starter, you change your perspective, you change your expectation on that guy in Brady Cook. So the fact that he's the guy that the coach says is the best for the job is the issue, not that, let's all take a shot at a guy who grew up loving and rooting and going to games and now playing for the team that is in a position that he's just not good enough in terms of going and winning games. So that's an issue. But I thought the 2-year extension is hey, recruits out there, don't let anybody start to recruit against Eli Drinkwitz. I know the contract goes till 2025, incentives that could push it a year if certain things happen, but, this is a 2-year extension. Desiree Reed-Francois believes in him. He ain't going anywhere, and no negative recruiting is going to hurt this guy because there is the vote of confidence by the AD, by the board of directors, that they feel like he's going to be a part of this program for a while. And I'm not saying they should fire him or he should be on the hot seat. I am a preacher of patience if he's at least shown that he brings something to the table. The issue with Barry Odom is he wasn't recruiting, couldn't get Missouri kids to stay home, wasn't in St. Louis, and they were losing. That's a bad combination. Eli Drinkwitz is at least recruiting and getting St. Louis kids, for the most part, to choose Missouri at a higher rate than they had been doing. He's got that going for him, and he went to a bowl game last year. He has had opportunities to win, but they found ways to lose. I'm looking at the contract now, and when you see some of the details, it's one thing to get the pay increase to where he's going to be making $6 million next year, and then $250,000 raise every year till 2027 when he'll be making $7 million. What I expected to see in the contract was Eli Drinkwitz's current buyout before Saturday was 70% of the life of the contract remaining. That's what you're paying Eli Drinkwitz if you fire him without cause. If he were to leave on his own and take another job, well, he would have to pay the university. Before 2023, he'd pay him 3, and then before 2024, he'd pay him 2, 1, 0, etc. So that part went up. So Missouri has helped or mitigated a loss from Eli Drinkwitz if he were to go to another school. That's now gone up $3 million per year. So it's now $6 million if he were to leave before 2023, $5 million next year, 4, 3, 2 in 2027. So he would still, even after the 2027 season, would owe Missouri $2 million to leave. Okay. So they've kind of helped themselves from that perspective. But his buyout prior to this contract extension was 70% of the remaining contract. His buyout now is, here is $6 million and 75% of the remaining salary, of the remaining total compensation over the life of the contract. That is not a contract that is set for, this is a vote of confidence for recruits.
Yeah.
That is a contract that you're saying, we are going to increase your buyout but damn it, you better increase the money you pay us to go to a different school. That is a coach you don't want to lose.
Yeah.
That is a coach that you are worried about losing or somebody coming in and swooping him up and him going somewhere else. That is not we are just putting this out there so that recruits know that he's good to go. This is Missouri doubling down on Eli Drinkwitz. This is not cursory.
A different way that Mizzou fans can look at Eli and think about losing in a very different context.
I mean, you go from $4 million to $6 million. That's a hell of a raise.
The timing is just a little strange.
May only win
still,
5
man.
games.
I get it, and also I don't know that I fully get it.
Was there honestly,
who was trying to hire him away?
Was there a program that's talking to Eli that his agent's like, we may go take this job? Oh, whoa, don't go anywhere. Come on. This isn't a recruiting pitch. This is a Eli Drinkwitz is the coach for a while pitch.
When you The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Final hour on a Wednesday, hump day edition of the show. Speaking of that, Mick Shaffer joins us, KSHB 41 sports director. Hey, guy. Huh? How you doing?
Humping away.
Yeah.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Josh Brisco, Beards. Mick Shaffer. What's up, Mick?
Mick, how you doing?
What is up, Mick?
Mick, you looking great. You're looking...
Hey. Hello, everybody. Hi. Hi.
Looking tan, looking ready for the beach, looking ready for a little lake life, Mick.
That's right. Huh? How you feeling, dude? It's 70 degrees outside. Of course you're going to dress like that, huh?
I know you wanted us to ask you about Oklahoma State football
That's right.
months ago. Let's finally do it. Mick, your thoughts.
Yeah, what did you think of that? Just nothing? Yeah, look, I would be speechless, too. Oh, hi, Mick. How are you?
Oh, Mick.
Put it off for like 1 minute.
Hey, Mick, what are you... Hey, Mick, what are you wearing?
It's a good-looking purple shirt.
Mick, there's a logo on that polo of yours that I'm not necessarily familiar seeing you wear. I didn't know this was going to be a segue.
I've seen it a few times. He's paying money to that school now. Yeah. They give him that shirt for free once you pay money.
All right,
isn't that right?
all
Don't you get the swag for free once you give money to the school?
No, it's maybe marked up even more.
Doesn't work like that? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Why wouldn't that be the case? You know, I'm giving you money for my kid to go to school there. Can I at least get maybe a shirt or something in return? Like my son is a Wildcat, nothing like that?
Nope.
Okay, very good. Or child or daughter, whatever. Nothing? Cool.
Little Texas, little Longhorn polo next week, you think, or...
I don't have any kids that go there.
All right, I'm just trying to. I'm trying to draw the connective line.
Boy, how pissed would you be if you had a kid that went to Texas and you can't continue making fun of Texas being back?
I absolutely could, and if he or she went there for free, like on a scholarship,
it's a good point.
Let's go.
Yeah,
great point. You know what? You're absolutely right about
You know the best school to go to?
Which one?
One that somebody else is paying for.
That's a great one. Absolutely. My kid's going to start long snapping.
Home college.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
That's right. How was your experience in college?
You could have just riffed for like a minute. Or
I would have. I totally would have. I could have defended you. We could have just started Sad Fans.
It wasn't even my fault. There's a huge wreck.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't have been speeding so much.
Wasn't caused by me.
Oh,
now
okay.
You guys are just dancing on their unfortunate.
Look, I would rather you have shown up a little bit later than pass on the shoulder like you did to get here. I wish you would not have done that. That's dangerous.
There was
I did do the zipper merge, which people don't like, but that's how you're supposed to do it.
It is the zipper
merge. Who doesn't like? What do you mean people don't like it?
That's how you're
you
supposed
mean
to
wrong
do it.
people?
No, people get mad when you pass them because they've already gotten
They got over a mile before.
Right.
The time
it has been proven time and time again.
And then before everybody zippers in.
Zipper merge is the most efficient way to consolidate 2 lanes to 1.
Do you know when I decided the zipper merge was a good idea?
When you did it?
The moment I heard about it. Which I think maybe just as a PSA, we just need to keep putting the zipper merge out in the public consciousness, because to disagree with it from a philosophical perspective is foolish. It's a fool's errand.
People can't even learn how to use their turn signals. Why would they think that the zipper merge would be the right tact to take?
You know what human I hate the most on the planet is the guy who straddles the 2 lanes, right, to prevent somebody from zipper merging.
Get over yourself.
Oh my gosh.
Get over yourself.
I hate him.
You're just making it worse for everybody else. Pick a lane.
Yeah, I'm the guy that when I zipper merge and I see somebody trying to scream past me, I'll slow down.
No, go ahead, let's go. Come on.
Go ahead,
know
dude. No, I got you.
That's how it's supposed to be.
I got you, man. Go right ahead.
You know, really, driving here today, I was just trying to just stay in my lane. Eventually, I needed to get over so I could get up to the Metcalf exit, and somebody honked at me, which was so annoying because I almost dropped my toothbrush, and I made a huge mess in my car. I had to change before I came in, and I just wish other drivers would be more considerate. So frustrating.
You stay in your lane metaphorically too.
Pay
not just
attention.
Literally.
Exactly.
Wish there was a way that you could maybe type something out or talk to text on like a ribbon board on your car to let them know what happened. Like for instance, I'm at a 4-way stop like this like a month ago.
I'm late for radio.
Yes.
It's like
no.
it's all in red, right?
No, I'm at a 4-way stop. There's a car directly across from me and me.
Yep.
The only 2 cars. I start to go straight. They start to turn left. They don't have their turn signal on. Now, they got there barely before me. I got there just after them. Well, they're going straight.
Yeah.
So I'm going straight. They start to turn left and they slam on their brakes, and I'm like, what? And they start yelling at me.
Yeah.
Like, no,
Turn
I was
signal.
here for... I wish I could then voice to text, use your turn signal. I would have waited since you had the right of way if you were going left. I am not waiting for you to get through the intersection and on my side of the stop sign if you're going straight.
That's kind of wordy. You should have just said
You're not
turn
going to be able
signal.
to read that from that far away.
I know, but they probably wouldn't read it either. So then I got to turn around and drive next to them. Then it's a whole
Shocker,
road
Jason's
rage
car,
thing.
Jason's kit, right? You'll get the reference. He won't.
Yeah, no.
Jason's
Soccer
kit.
uniform?
No, it was the name of David Hasselhoff's
that's
car in Knight Rider.
Knight Rider.
And
Kit.
it talked. So
there you go.
Shocker, your car's going to talk too much.
So very, very detailed explanation.
Jason hits the horn.
I can tell that's Jason's car.
His car goes, excuse me, now listen, we're both here. You have your blinker off, I have my blinker off. We arrived at the same time. So what I'd like to do is...
No, I hit the horn, and it would say, hey, just so you know, that was a light tap horn. Just giving you a heads up that
This is a thing.
The light is green. I am not mad.
I light tapped it out here.
I'm not flipping you off. I'm just saying, hey, heads up, because I've needed it before. Just a little heads up, light's green. Let's all go.
This is a thing. This is something we can fix culturally. There's a long ago my brother and me bit about the good job horn. Little pop up. That's a hey, thanks. Hey, you congratulations on merging correctly.
Oh, nobody's gonna take it that way.
No. We have to. We have to move the Overton window on this one.
Yeah.
We've got to get to an acceptable place where we are basically either doing Morse code or every car comes with 3 horns.
3 horns.
You get you get universal honk. Could mean anything. Open for interpretation. You have excuse me. Essentially, which is either a good job or a hey, I'm not pissed. Just want to remind you the light just turned.
Heads up.
And then a bleep you horn.
Yeah. Then you are driving into my lane. You didn't use your turn signal. What are you mad at me for?
The problem is nobody will use anything but the bleepy one.
That's a good point. Well, no, I do think there's a...
Truckers have their own little Morse code, right? With the flashing of the lights and everything, and they'll communicate. No,
I always worry that when I give the light little heads up horn, that somebody thinks that I'm just like mad at them or
I did it out here and I didn't care. Yeah, because you know how they have the flashing yellow light on the turn, right? And so that person was stopped before the intersection. Like, no, you got to get out there. You got to get out there.
You got to set the screen here, man.
If you get caught, you got to go, and I'm going. I'm not getting caught here. I'm going behind you.
True story.
I'm drafting right now.
True story. Sitting over here at Metcalf, and I think this is like 100 and whatever the street is up there by Blue Valley High School that you would go through on Metcalf.
Blue Valley?
Right over here. North.
Blue Valley,
sorry.
North,
But by the Costco and by the hospital. Either way, sitting there, and the light is flashing yellow. There's a car at the stoplight. There's a police officer behind the car, and then there's me. The light is.
You're behind the cop?
Yes. Okay. The light is flashing yellow. This car does not move. It's flashing yellow, flashing yellow, flashing yellow.
All clear for them, right?
Does not move. No. The cars are coming, but it doesn't move. It doesn't get out to the intersection to wait and then take its turn. It just sits there. Light turns red. Car just sits there. Cop gets out of the car, and I can see him explaining that, hey, you drive out here, be there in the
but
and
I
be
could see
ready to go.
They were
and
hesitant because the cop was.
I would have been.
I
might have frozen.
I bet they were hesitant. The cop actually got out and was
I don't
like,
know how
hey,
legal that is.
Look, this
good
officer was clearly, because I even rolled my window down, was clearly explaining hey, you need to move out there, and then when it's your turn, you need to go because traffic is getting backed up behind you. If you're just going to sit here, then we may be sitting here for 4 or 5 lights and nobody goes.
Yes.
I thought that was great. I'm like,
that is
for him.
This is we have to clarify some of these terms too, because I would have also been very. You know what would have been great there? If the officer, look, if those lights come on, then no one's moving for a while.
That's right.
But if the cop car could just go little, bonk bonk. You know what? Oh, yep. Sorry, yes. Sorry, officer. Let me go ahead and.
He can speak through a megaphone. They have that.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yes, that's right.
Get out there.
I saw
get out there, please.
A very nice police officer that it was down a hill, and it was a place that I believe people probably speed, and the police officer was sitting at the bottom.
The road?
Yes, exactly. This police officer was sitting at the bottom of the hill, and as a car was coming down speeding, it would just go whip whip, and it would immediately slow down. It didn't pull anybody over.
Great, let's do that, everybody.
It was just hey,
great work.
Hey, heads up, I can pull you over. Next time you're here, remember there might be a cop sitting down here. Like, you know what? I like that. That was it's kind of like a warning.
He's letting the little fish go. If you're 12 to 15 over,
that's probably
go.
That's probably
I'm
right.
waiting for 25 to 30.
Waiting for the guy to scream over the hill.
Yes.
With
get
the
a
other
little air at the top of the hill. Yeah,
you have to, just like Knight Rider, just like Kit. Got to get a little air, and also when your car lands, tires are fine, shocks are fine, suspensions, everything's good to go.
The rest of the episode.
You're perfectly fine. It's odd how that happens, though. They're made differently in these movies sometimes.
Well, Jason, it's a talking car.
It is, yeah.
I just mean in general. General cars.
Jason, that's the part about the Knight Rider you didn't get?
That's where I'm done suspending reality. Okay, the talking car, the car that actually learns.
Your suspension was in a worse place than the cars.
Exactly. Yes. I'm just saying, in general, every car chase in a movie that goes off the ground and lands, and it's perfectly fine and just continues driving.
I was watching Herbie Fully Loaded, and you're not going to believe what I saw.
That's how Saran always talks about on Star Wars, and when people complain about like the TIE fighters. Well, they're not going to make noise out in space because there's not noise. He's like, really? That's where you're starting with Star Wars when Han Solo walks into a bar with 700 different species in there, right? Okay, there's an anteater drinking a drink guy. Yeah.
I know this is stream of consciousness conversation, which is perfectly fine, but one of my buddies, when it came to Field of Dreams, his biggest issue with Field of Dreams is when Kevin Costner says, "Hey, Dad, you want to have catch?" He's like, nobody says that. This is dumb.
Say that.
I said, there's ghosts in the corn, and that's the most unbelievable part of it. That's when you're out. That's when you're like, you know what? Hour 45, I made it, but I'm out. I can't do it anymore. This is not a real concept of a movie.
I feel, though, I'm on his side. They established the rules. Okay, there can be ghosts in this movie. Okay, those are the rules.
Yeah, I'm actually
there
also
can't
on
be
this team.
Stupid talk like that, though. Okay, those weren't established in the rules.
Have catch is a phrase in certain parts of the country.
It is now because everybody's seen that movie except for him.
I was going to ask you to clarify if it's have catch or have a catch.
Have a catch.
It's have a catch.
Have a catch, right? Okay. I've seen Field of Dreams multiple times, but that's when you said have catch. Wait a second. That A does matter. It's still not good.
No, it's have a catch.
Play catch.
Or just play catch.
I've never been. Hey, you
Universal
have
would
a catch.
Universal would be play catch. Have a catch is a little pretentious.
It's definitely pretentious.
It's when you know your kid's not athletic.
You have a catch with your unathletic catch. Yeah, well, that's
you have no chance.
I don't know, Dad. I'm watching this team and they're losing 3-15. So I can't have a catch yet. Son of a gun. All right, what did I do, honey? What did we do?
They've got 4 points in this baseball game, Dad.
Yep.
No, you know what? Just call me Brian. We'll work back up to Dad.
Oh, dude,
they're called runs, Jimmy.
Andy, I love that. Call me.
Actually, I'm not even gonna call you Jimmy anymore.
That's right. Child.
Hey, James.
What? Roommate.
We'll work back to Dad.
I'm going to work back to Jimmy.
I shouldn't have kids.
During the playoffs in one of the World Series game, I think Andy McCullough tweeted something out, was like, look, the Astros were only 2 points away from tying that thing up. But he did it on purpose.
Okay.
Like, he did it, like, and so many people are like, how can a writer be like, it's runs, you idiot. You cover baseball and you don't know that it's runs instead of points? What is your issue? I thought it was funny that he did that. I kind of thought of you, Mick. I kind of thought of you with the 2 games in January type deal.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And him going, boy, they're only 2 points away in this game.
And the one time I was in Vegas and I said something like, man, just seeing both these teams fall as Chiefs and the Raiders, I could see how they could never play each other in the Super Bowl. People are like,
so great.
Well, they can't play in the Super Bowl. I'm like, no, I've seen Super Bowls with both these teams in them, actually.
Yeah.
No, they can both play in it. Yeah, they can play.
The Bills have been to 4 Super Bowls. What are you talking about?
Weird. Yeah.
Chiefs have been to 4 Super Bowls. Like, that's 8 Super Bowls combined. They've played in Super Bowls.
They can't play. They both play in the AFC. They can't make the Super Bowl. I'm like, there are AFC teams in the Super Bowl every year, okay?
Every single year. In fact, every single year there has been an AFC team. All right, well, it's probably not going to be the Titans in the Super Bowl this year.
I love your segues.
God, let's hope not.
Can you imagine? Oh, like a nice Titans-Eagles Super Bowl?
Malik Willis versus Jalen Hurts.
Titans-Vikings.
Oh, that's worse. Yep, you're right. I slid into the Eagles by accident because they're the only good NFC team.
Cousins,
you're right.
Tannehill.
Cousins Willis.
Oh
yeah,
man.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's good.
Oh no.
Cousins will be heard by who's his backup?
Not Case Keenum anymore.
No,
Learned that this week
because he's now the backup in Buffalo.
I think he's maybe been there longer. I just forgot about it.
Not sure.
Josh Allen exists.
I'm gonna guess it's Chase Daniel. Just
safe bet.
I know he may be in L.A. with the Chargers, but I'm still going to guess that there's a chance he moved teams and he is just the backup. It's the all-time quarterback in backyard football. He's the all-time backup. No matter who's got a backup out there, Chase Daniel. In fact, Buffalo's like, hey, Chase, can you come?
Mullins.
That's exactly right.
Nick's
whole name.
Nick Mullins.
All right. Well, let's hear some sad fans. Let's hear some
sad fan time.
Let's hear some sad. That was my.
Never heard it in the car.
That's a good point. All right, Beard. Sad fans, Titans edition.
And now, up first, a list of things that Kansas City Chiefs fans said on Reddit. At least it can't get worse than that start. Low effort tackling on the first play. That's a great sign. Why do I spend most games being upset with Jones? Oh, look, an extra point. Must be nice. Why is this ref always smiling before he calls penalties against us? It's going to be one of those stupid games, huh? Give these the Raiders treatment. Refs are going to us like they 3 other teams today. Might want to play the run, guys. Hey, so it's forgot to play football Chiefs tonight. Please tell me Spags is a good defensive coordinator. Do it. I dare you. Just in case we called that offsides penalty, but the Titans didn't happen to need it this time. How many penalties do we think Blakeman's crew will call on us tonight? 15? 20? New NFL record? Love me a 3-and-out after the opponent just had an 80-yard touchdown drive. Offense is limp, and so am I. We waited all day for this. Another Spags masterclass tonight, getting rolled by the league's simplest offense being run by a third-round rookie quarterback. Did we power they have over physically superior men? This team is like a supercar that breaks down constantly. Wet fart. Can someone tell Consworth to come up for air while he's Titans? On the bright side, there hasn't been a flag for about 3 minutes. Trade Butker for me, for real. I guess it's not nice to have Butker back. What the f***? At least we don't have to hear Rome. Original Chiefs game from the dark days. Thanks, I hate it. I hope to holy Buddha we don't draw Tennessee in the playoffs. They have been our kryptonite for so... Please, we beg you! And now, the runner-up of things that Chiefs fans said on Reddit. Walmart using Office Space references makes me want to redact my existence. And now, the winner of things that Chiefs fans said on Reddit. If we put Pacheco on Clyde's shoulders, we might have the Titans run game. And now, a list of things that Tennessee Titans fans
double
said on
feature
Reddit.
today, Beard.
Wow! Let's go, twist some nipples, kick some shins. Don't make Kelsey mad for no reason. Damn, bro, them Chiefs defenders were trying to eat Willis. I am not nervous. I am fine. It's fine. It's fine. Imagine every 10 times you show up to work, you shit your pants 7 of those times. Welcome to the life of Dennis Daly. I was excited for this game until Willis walked out onto the field. Hello. Comment. This is what it's like to have good wide receivers. Reply. Don't know, man. We're Titans fans. Else hate the way Mahomes walks? I hate him. Fire Downing comments. 6.